Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Players Take episode number 200. I'm your host, Justin Gismoni, joined by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, 200 episodes. Did you believe we would ever make it here?
Nah, not really.
Man, you didn't believe in us? Come on.
I didn't even realize it was 200 episodes until I did type it 200 episodes, but I didn't realize it was 200 episodes until you said it.
Didn't hit you until just now? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, man, 200 episodes. I mean, I think the 4-year anniversary is like in the next couple days since our first posting. So, yeah, man. Goddamn. Time flies, huh? It's crazy.
Yeah.
We were both in our 20s. Like, what the fuck, dude? I feel so old.
Were we? Yeah, I guess we were both in
Yeah.
our 20s.
Barely. I think we were both about to turn 30, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, you were. I think I just turned 29. But yeah, man, 4 years. A lot of episodes. I felt like, I will say I felt like, I don't know, 50 to 60 in. I was like, all right, I think we're in for the long haul here, So I'm not too surprised personally, but it is an accomplishment, man. We've posted 210 of these probably between these and the non-normal episodes, like the off-schedule ones. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty big, man. And I don't know, we're still at our 15, 20 listeners every week, and we appreciate every one of you very much. So but we just enjoy doing the show. I mean, we wouldn't be here still doing this if that wasn't the case. So Montreal, outside of the big milestone, I mean, how's life? How's life treating you?
I'm just super tired. We don't normally record on Tuesday, so I'm kind of like off today.
Off kilter.
So yeah.
All right. Well, we'll
Used to record on Tuesdays, which is crazy because I can't. I don't see how we did that shit.
Well, I mean, to be fair, did we record? No, we recorded Thursday last week, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
Wednesday or Thursday.
I mean, given that there was only a 5-day gap between recordings, it's
Yeah.
partially the reason. Also, the week has just started, so the beat down from work is starting to ramp up at this point. So towards the end of the week, it's we're almost there. When we're recording the show, generally we got one more day of work in front of us, and it's the weekend. So it's I don't know, it's easier to get the energy up, I guess.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, Montreal, let's get you right into the episode, and leave out the bullshit this week. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We posted 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, let's just jump right in this week. It's going to be kind of a shorter news week, like we mentioned last week. We are going to be doing the God of War kind of spoiler talk at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that. If you played the game and finished it and want to hear our full thoughts. So, Montreal, other than that, let's just get right into the show. Do you want to start with what you've been playing, or would you like me to start this week?
You can start this week.
Okay. Mostly, I'm gonna be honest. I've not been playing too much stuff in general. I'm just kind of, when I have been playing, it's basically been an online game with you guys, or Genshin, pretty much at this point. I'm just kind of like in autopilot mode the last week or so, or a few days, I guess, since we last recorded. So yeah, I mean, still playing League. We've had a few sessions, I think, since we recorded last, and one of them was bad, pretty bad, really bad, actually. And then one of them, the last couple though have been pretty good. We're actually on a win streak, as of us getting off yesterday. But still having fun. I'm starting to try branching out a little bit away from Varus, just to kind of get my character repertoire built up a little bit, and get an understanding of some other champions. I think I might try Jin next. He might be the next one I give a shot to. He seems really fun. kind of my kind of character maybe. So, um, but what about you, man? You said before the show you're not playing League without us, really. So, are you having you still having fun with League with the boys?
Uh, well, I primarily just like to play it with y'all now. I don't know. Now that I have a party to play it with, it's a little bit different. I
Hmm.
actually like playing the support role a lot more than I used to. I don't
Hmm.
know. It's a lot better with
When you're on
playing
comms,
with somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, with just it's with a lot of with better people or people you can actually talk to. I'm just enjoying the game a lot more, to be honest with you. Except for like one day, because I was really sick. Um,
Yeah.
so I really wasn't tolerating anything from that day. I was just really sick that day.
Yeah.
It was just a
He was
really
very
bad day for
grumpy on
me.
Saturday. That was the bad
Yeah,
session. Like, to be honest, we were playing with somebody who hasn't played League in, like, it sounds like literally 12 years. So
yeah,
he was not uh he wasn't the game was going too fast for him, honestly. So we weren't having great games as a team. I don't think we were all playing at our best.
yeah,
So, but last
and
couple nights have been really good though, I think.
yeah, yeah.
We've had much better games. I don't think I've been playing that well, but the rest of the team's kind of making up for it, so it's been pretty good. We still need a fifth though. Those randos we play with sometimes are just like miserable.
Yeah, I think all of us need to come to some kind of consensus of what kind of game can play. I think we all kind of make concessions of what games need to be played or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think at one point we all do need to just like agree to play a game. I'm really much down for anything. I think I think I think some of us have been more flexible than others as far as games being played and everything like that.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think the
it's just one of those
absence of
things.
Apex has created a vacuum for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we've that's been our game for like 3 years now, pretty much, like as a group. So to not have that anymore and just kind of have to gravitate to something else, it's definitely. I mean, you're right. I think we're all kind of guilty of. There's certain games where we just refuse to play. Like, I'm not playing PUBG, dude. Like, I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I've been there, done that. I don't want to play that game. I've had that experience already. I'm just not interested in it, and so that's my wall. And then I guess COD is my other wall. Like, I don't know. I don't want to buckle to that game. So, but all of us
Yeah.
kind of have that game. So it's like Brad doesn't want to play Fortnite, and Jet doesn't want to play Overwatch. So it's like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. And like I don't want to play Lord of the Rings or
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that. So
Well, I don't think any of us really do, to be frank.
like that's really my only wall. Like, I can play almost any other game except for like Lord of the Rings. Um and I would like to play Dota but with like a full set of 5 people.
Yeah.
I can do Dota with a full set of 5 people.
Hmm. Okay.
But we don't have a full 5 for that.
We
So
might. Me and Brad are two. I think one of Brad's friends. I think Hunter. That guy Hunter. I think he plays Dota.
okay.
And I think Brad knows one more person. So
Okay. Yeah, that's my only requirement with Dota. I just want to play with a full set of 5 people.
okay.
Um
Yeah, we'll probably get wrecked, but
yeah.
Um, yeah, it was funny. We played like a bot game the other day. I think it was Sunday. Him and I, just real quick while we were waiting for somebody to get on, and I'm like, dude, it's so funny to play that after being into League now, for like actually getting into League and starting to relearn it again and like actually learning it. But it's like funny to play Dota, and I'm like, oh my god, I just can't get past it. Like, I just like this game so much more. It's hard. It's like really hard for me to like put that aside, because in the absence of, if I had a full five, like if you guys were if we were all willing to play both games, my preference would be Dota, like not even close. But that's, to your point, like compromise, right? I'm compromising because I want to play with you guys. So and I don't
Yeah.
to be honest, I don't hate League. I think I kind of like where the game is right now, actually, compared to last year when we played. When we were playing last year, I just couldn't, dude. It was like you were talking about, that meta was just, ugh. I couldn't play the game. Um,
Yeah, it was just way too fast. I don't think it
yeah.
was a very noob friendly meta.
Hmm.
I know we are complaining about the tank meta, but I think the tank meta is easier to get into and wrap your head around. There are items that kind of counter tanks. There are things you can do to, not make tanks get big and everything like that. Which we've been doing a better job of, like either maneuvering around tanks or just finishing the game earlier.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. For sure.
but like with last year, it was just the meta was just everybody was getting blown up like super fast.
Yeah.
Like you had to know the game and you had to know the enemies, and if you didn't, then you just got blown up. Um,
Yeah. That's what I
and
remember.
everyone was complaining about that. Like even the pros are complaining about that, saying like, "Hey, like, we need to do something about this game. It's just way too much damage in the game." And they changed a lot of it for the better. So I actually like the direction the game is going. Um, I think they did that too because they recognized that Arcane was way more popular than they anticipated. A lot more players are getting into League. And they were coming across the same thing where people were just getting blown up, and they're like, "Well, I can't play this game."
Yeah.
But the good thing I think about it, um, as well as Arcane, uh, and like League, the pipeline that happened was you were playing. I saw it with you, and this was actually like their strategy or whatever. I remember we did a podcast on it.
Hmm.
Uh, with their whole strategy was to like get people familiarized with the characters, and
Yeah.
I saw it with you, especially when we were playing the game, regular league game, and you knew all the characters, majority of the characters coming across because you played
Legends of
Runeterra.
Runeterra. Yeah.
So I think that's cool. And like even like DJ, he knows like when he doesn't play the game with us, but like when we're talking about certain characters, he knows certain characters because he plays TFT.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's going to be other avenues too when the fighting game comes out, and then the MMO is going to come out later. That people would know there's other ways to interact with this game and touch League of Legends as a genre, as a whole. So I
Hmm.
think that was pretty cool. I saw it work like with you and DJ, and I'm like, okay, that's cool that they actually
Yeah.
know these characters and know
Yeah.
their themes, because the deck may be built around a certain theme or something
Yeah.
like that. You may see the way the
Yeah.
legend acts and some Summoner's Rift compared to like
Yeah, they try to
Runeterra or something like
create a
that.
facsimile within Legends of Runeterra as much as they
Yeah,
can. Yeah, I think it's a really smart strategy because I do think that's a barrier to entry to League is just how many characters there are, right? Like how many
yeah,
champions. And if you are suddenly you're familiar with those champions and you have a vague idea of kind of what their deal is within the game, that is like so many steps ahead of somebody coming into the game fresh. You just need to then learn the abilities and how they interact with other characters,
exactly. Yeah,
and the items, obviously, of course. But just talking about pure champion knowledge, it's like it's knowing what their names are, what they look like, generally speaking, what they might try to do. It's like that is a huge step, for a new player or a returning player that hasn't played in a while. So I think it's a good strategy, and I kind of appreciated it. That was the one. I think that was definitely one of the things that got me interested in playing again was playing Legends of Runeterra and being like, oh, there's actually like some cool lore here. There's like a interesting world. They actually are trying to world build now with this game. And these character designs are like cool. I like some of these characters a lot. So it's I think it's an interesting approach. One that Dota is like to me failing to emulate. They're like trying, but they're just not. Valve's not as dedicated to it as Riot is. Like Riot is like whole ass into League of Legends. Um,
yeah.
so I just think as a result, like League's always going to be bigger than Dota probably. For that reason.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I feel like Dota has a lot. They can do what the opposite of League is doing. League is really cartoonish. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, well, it's actually serious, Montreal. People die in League of Legends. I'm like, yeah, it is, but its whole nature is probably like targeted towards early or late teens, right? So
Yeah.
like it's kind
Hmm.
of cartoonish, but it's more mature in its themes.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Dota can go really mature with their themes because their character designs are like really,
Yeah.
really like more. I don't want to say gothic in nature, but just more a little bit more on the realism side, and they can really take
Hmm.
things to a whole nother level if they really want to with Dota. And I like their character designs in Dota and everything like that. And I like to learn more about the character and the lore. It's just I think they need to. I don't think they have as much of a business strategy, like you said, with like how Riot is treating League of Legends. So
Yep. Right. Yep. So league's been fun. We'll keep playing that for sure. Other than that, I have been playing more Genshin. I'm kind of at the point where I'm just trying to grind through the existing content that I'm behind on. I am still in Inazuma, and I am almost done with like all the story quests that are there. I'm pretty close to finish. I'm probably gonna finish that over this weekend. But I'm just trying to grind through it to get to the stuff that I actually want to do, which is the chasm Enkanomiya, which is a chasm-like area, underground area as well. And that area is really fucking cool. Again, like just like the chasm is. I did start doing that area earlier this week, and I was enjoying it a lot. I think it's really fun to explore. So, kind of getting to the point of the game where I'm like very excited to play again because Inazuma has mostly sucked dick. So I'm ready to just finish it off and put it behind me, and not really go back there unless I need to for a quest or something or an event. So outside of that, I guess like Lord of the Rings, I played for maybe an hour. Um, God, what else? We didn't play Paragon this week. I did not play Overwatch. You guys did. Um, that's really it, man. I don't think I've really been playing a whole lot. I'm really in a MOBA mood right now. Like when you guys say Overwatch, I'm like, I don't want to play a shooter. Ugh. You know, I'm just like in the mood to play MOBAs right now. So
okay. Yeah, it's just funny. I'm in like the totally opposite mood. Well, not opposite. I want to play MOBAs as well, but not by myself.
yeah.
But I actually do want to play more PC shooters. Like I just want to get into it a little bit more,
Hmm.
and slowly just transition towards PC being my primary shooter console.
Yeah.
Because I actually like playing Overwatch. It was a burden for me to play on mouse and keyboard, but now I actually prefer it over like
Yeah.
controller and stuff like that. Um, so that's why I do like Overwatch, and I'm actually just trying to branch out and play more other PC games and especially first person shooters. There's a lot of military shooters that I like that are on PC. Like this one military shooter called Ready or Not, tactical military shooter that I want to play, and I need to find some people to play that with because that's like one of those tactical breaching house uh
Mm-hmm.
first person shooters, but it's like it's not PvP, it's PvE, and you got a house that you have to clear with with four of the players, and you guys have to use tactics like SWAT tactics and everything. So I think it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I've been playing Overwatch just to get myself familiar wise with first person shooters on PC again in general, and plus I just like the game. Uh, I think it's really fun with five people. I think we do really good when it's five of us. I agree. I don't like playing it all night. I do think it's like a really good warm up game for us, and then we transition to something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Or palate
but
cleanser.
yeah, I like it just playing it for like an hour, hour and a half maybe, and then we jump on to another game or something like that. Because I don't mind jumping on to multiple games a night.
Yeah.
I know some people don't like that, but I actually don't mind it at all. I
Oh,
feel
me
like
either.
I get a
I
lot
actually,
more.
I think I prefer it to be honest. I'm a
Yeah,
variety gamer. I don't like playing the same game all night most of the time.
yeah.
So that's why often I don't get on till 8 or 9 because I like, I like play Genshin or something else before I get on because I don't want to spend the whole night playing League or Apex or whatever and being up angry at the end of the night because I didn't do anything else.
Yeah, and I mean I do the same thing now. Because I already beat Ragnarok, and I've been playing Call of Duty. I've been playing that more with the snakes. It's just fun to play. Like I said, it's another palate cleanser. We get in there, we can play a couple of games, team deathmatch, and they have variety of games that you can queue up for. And we do that.
Hmm.
Um, I like the variety that game brings you. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's worth. I think this one in particular is worth the $60 that I spent for it. Yeah, I get a variety of games I get to play with other people and my my progression carries over to other consoles. So like I had to play with somebody on PlayStation just because I wanted to talk to them on the PSN party. So I played, DMZ mode or Warzone on my PlayStation, um, and I was playing it with them on that.
Mm-hmm.
But then all the progress that I did have, I came back on my original Xbox console where I usually play my first person shooters. I was playing that with snakes, and all my character stuff was still there. So I mean,
Nice.
cross progression is like really cool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just coming from Apex and like not having that is like insane.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't
Yep.
understand how that game is that popular and doesn't have it. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, I'm really loving Call of Duty right now. It's a really good game to play in short bursts. I don't like playing it all night, but I do like playing it in like for like an hour here, maybe an hour there every couple of days. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm having a lot of fun with Crisis Core Remastered. I think right now, as far as gaming and my lifestyle right now, like these burst games like Overwatch,
Mm.
Call of Duty, and like League of Legends, I can just play in burst and everything like that are really fitting my lifestyle right now. Because I think that was the biggest hurdle I had with God of War.
Me
It was a
too.
really big game to handle
Mm-hmm.
that you had to like focus on, especially
Spend
for the story
hours
and stuff
on it
like
at a time. Yeah.
exactly. And then God forbid you go against one of the berserkers that you just come across. And I'm the type of
Mm-hmm.
person I don't walk away from the challenge. I just gotta beat it. So I would spend hours on like a berserker or whatever that I have to fight or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so uh with Crisis Core, you got the main story and then you have these missions that they give you that are like bite sized. Yeah, they're missions. They may take anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes to complete. And you get them throughout the game from talking to various people in the main game, in the overworld and everything of that nature. And they'll give you a mission. You go to your save spot, and they pop up and they're called missions. And the game, like I said, is designed at its core is a mobile game, not a mobile game, a portable game. This game was on a PSP, and it still has that
Mm.
PSP feel, like on the go.
Yeah.
And I like the way they designed the game because I can play. I just want to come in and or go right to fighting people. I just go straight to missions. I don't even touch the story mode, or I don't even touch the story aspect of it, or progress the story. If I do want to touch the story, then I just go and do the story, and I don't have to touch the missions or whatever. Or if I feel like I need to progress to get a little bit further and everything like that, because the missions have ranks, and those ranks, or tiers rather, and each star tier gets harder. So like, 10 stars is the hardest tier mission that you can do, and like some of those enemies, well, even the regular ads can one shot you. They can start one shotting you in like tier 5
Yeah.
actually, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing on hard mode. So um, so in hard mode, like they can one shot you like tier 5. It's kind of wild,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful. So I'm enjoying the game. I think the game looks beautiful. One thing that I can't shake, and I feel really bad for people playing this game. If this is their first time playing this game, is the voice acting. I think, no disrespect to the new voice actor of Zach. Um, I don't know if it's the direction they took the game. I don't know if it's the voice actor direction
Yeah.
or the voice actor himself. Um, but it and I thought it was just me, and like maybe it's just my nostalgia or whatever. And it's like a meme now on the internet. Like the voice acting for Zach is bad. They're like people are
Mm.
like I can't stand it, and there has been like voice comparison videos and everything of that nature. It actually changes the tone of Zach and how you view Zach. Like Zach to me, when I was playing the original Crisis Core with Rick Gomez as the voice actor, the
Yeah.
way he portrayed, and I can't remember the other guys, the new guys' voice, the voice actor, his name I can't remember, unfortunately, so I apologize. But Rick Gomez, the first one, the way he portrayed Zach and he did it, it was like a guy who's unsure of him, who's like sure of himself but unsure of himself. He's cool, but he tries to be a dork at times. Like a little bit of dorkiness comes out, but he's like a cool, calm, and collected dude or whatever. He's
Mm.
just a cool dude. He's a cool dude. Sometimes he's a dork. With this one, it's like the total opposite. He's a dork all the time and he's trying to be cool. And it's like you can really hear it because his voice is kind of nasally in this game.
Mm,
Whereas in the older games, or in the older game rather, it wasn't nasally. It was like, just a cool voice. Um, and it really changed the tone of the game. And I hear the new guy try to capture that essence. So it's not like he's trying. He's definitely trying, but I don't know if it was just not a right cast. And I'm not really knocking on his performance because he's trying his best. But in the end, to me, it doesn't sound as powerful, or it doesn't sound like Zach. It really changed the tone of his voice. It's
yeah,
actually incredible how much that it can be the same lines, the same delivery, and everything, but the voice just changes the way you view Zach. Because like now I'm viewing Zach as like this dorky wannabe hero guy and everything like that. Where to me, that was always Cloud. Cloud
mm,
was always that guy who was trying to emulate Zach. And I mean, that's what the story of Crisis Core is. Why you see Cloud um, love Zach so much and try to emulate him so much,
yeah,
to where the point where he took his memories at one point, like before Cloud became himself in Final Fantasy Remake, which I actually like Remake a lot because they made Cloud its own character.
hmm,
Because even the original Final Fantasy VII, Cloud didn't have his own name. Cloud was whoever you named Cloud to be. Like
yeah,
a lot of people didn't know that.
right,
Um, so I actually do like that in Final Fantasy VII Remake, where Cloud was his own personality. Even with the flashbacks and everything like that. And then in this game, it's showing you why Zach is the way he is, how he got the Buster Sword, and why Cloud is the way he is, and everything of that nature. It's not the most. It's some really melodramatic fucking game,
yeah,
but it's Final Fantasy. What did you expect? Um, but yeah, I just wanted to touch on the voice acting. A lot of people are saying they're upset with like Genesis' new voice actor and Angio's new voice actor and even Sephiroth's new voice actor. I thought they did phenomenal.
hmm,
Th- and those are all new voice actors. They cleaned the slate clean with all of them. Um, I thought everybody did a really good, decent job. The only person that I had an issue with, it was so good for the other voice actors that I didn't even know they had new voice actors, so I researched it. Um,
yeah,
and but yeah, for Zach, it was a standout. It was standing out to me that this is not a good job. So that's why I'm even for people who didn't play the game, uh, they were like who didn't play the original game, they're like, man, I just can't get past Zach's voice acting. Like I like the game, but I had to switch it to Japanese because I can't get past his voice acting.
yeah,
And they was like, was it like this in the original? And I told them like, no, it definitely wasn't like this in the original. I prefer the English dub over the Japanese dub in the original. So it, I want to get more opinions, like especially your opinion if you're ever going to play this game in the future. I
yeah,
want to see how you feel about the voice acting because, like I said, that it it really at certain points of the game, I was like, damn, like there were certain people who took the game back because they could not get past uh
yeah.
the voice acting for Zach. It was insane.
So, do you think it's the voice actor, or do you think that's the direction he was given by Square?
So that's why I don't want to put it all on the actor himself, right?
Okay,
I don't know if it's the direction that they were. A
like
lot of
this
people
is
are
what they
blaming.
envisioned originally, and yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's the direction because the voice actor himself is a phenomenal voice actor. That's what they say. I don't know his work, but then it's like I don't know because the people that are saying it's direction, they're saying that across the board all of the voice acting is bad. Um, which I don't really think so. I think first of all, the dialogue is cheesy in itself,
yeah,
right? It's like Kingdom Hearts 2 cheesy, like Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2 cheesy. That's how the dialogue is. And there's only so much range you can do with that.
yeah,
Um, so I do give the other voice actors credit for that. Even this voice actor, he tried his best, right? But it's just something about just having the original. It's almost like if they tried to change Sora's voice
mm,
and made it somebody else, but he tried to sound like the original Sora a little bit. it just wouldn't sound right.
Didn't they change Sora's voice though?
No, it's been the same guy through
Really?
and through.
It has been the
Yeah.
same guy? Okay.
Yep.
So I'm looking at this guy, Caleb Pierce. He is not a voice actor by trade.
Okay.
He popped up. The first thing on IMDb for him is in 2015. And he has mostly been on television for the most part.
Okay. I
So
think he was like someone said that he was on like Fairly Odd Parents or something like
yes,
that.
that's
Yeah.
right before Final Fantasy. That's the latest thing he's done.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that makes sense if this is his first like major voice acting gig.
Yeah, yeah. Everything else he's been in is a live action television show, from what I can tell.
Okay.
So, um, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
he was the voice of Zack though in Final Fantasy VII Remake, apparently, which is
that
interesting.
makes sense. Was he the voice for Zach uh in Birth by Sleep?
No, no. His
Okay.
first voicing of Zack was in Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Okay, that makes sense.
and then he was
We didn't really
in.
hear him to talk too much in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
No, he didn't have a ton of lines. I don't remember him being particularly offensive, but I mean, it was only a few lines. So
Yeah,
being the main character is very different from being a side character that's on screen for less than 3 minutes. So
yeah. Like I said, I'm not trying to say it's his fault.
yeah,
I don't know if it's a combination of him it being his first time and then like him in the direction that he was given. So I think it's just a combination of a bad storm, unfortunately.
hmm
I hope if they do continue to go, which they probably are, because they want to have like it sounds like they want to have like a continual continuity with the voice acting.
mm,
So if they continue to do that, I hope it gets better in the next games, especially like the Final Fantasy II remake.
yeah,
I hope they take this feedback from this game and kind of apply it to the next game going forward. Because I'm pretty sure he's going to be a major part in that in that
mm,
game.
hmm
So yeah, that's my only gripe with the game is the voice acting. A lot of stuff, a lot of nostalgic moments don't hit as hard. But then when I go back and watch them on YouTube with like the regular voice, somebody may splice them over or something like that. It hits just the same, and I'm like, wow, this is what I remember. So I'm also kind of regretting buying this game on PlayStation because I'm pretty sure 6 months later somebody's gonna fucking come out with a mod to use the original voice actor.
mm,
Um,
hmm
and yeah,
yeah.
so
Not even 6 months. They could probably do that pretty quick.
yeah.
All right. Anything else you're playing? You want to talk about?
Nope, that's it.
All right, let's get into the news then. We don't have a ton of news, so we'll probably blow through this pretty quick. Our first story is about Embracer Group and Crystal Dynamics. They announced last week that they are partnering with Amazon. Crystal Dynamics is, and they have entered into a publishing agreement with Amazon Games for the next AAA Tomb Raider game. And this, there's not much to say about this beyond to me the fact that this is fucking weird. Embracer owns Crystal Dynamics. They are big enough. They publish plenty of games on their own. I would expect that this is a cash deal in order to get funding for this game because they probably don't have the cash themselves to fund it. That would be my guess. But
So does Embracer own the IP for Tomb Raider?
yeah, that came along with the studios.
Okay.
So
I
yeah,
didn't know that. I
yeah.
thought that was pure for Enix.
Nope. Square totally absolved themselves of Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and all the studios associated with those games.
Oh, okay.
That's why that $300 million price tag was so cheap, in my opinion, because it came with the IP, which is crazy. Um,
That is crazy. Cause I would consider
Tomb Raider alone is worth more money than that.
Yeah, I would think Tomb Raider alone
Yeah.
is a valuable IP.
Like,
Like
not
that's
even
a
just the
staple.
IP, no studios, nothing, no head count, nothing. Just the IP, I think, is worth more than $300 million. But
Yeah, because you can do a lot of stuff with that, and that's iconic. Like a lot of people know who
dude,
Tomb Raider is.
it's been a movie franchise, it's been a video game franchise. I mean, that's a big IP. It's well known. Um, it's fairly popular, I would say. Um, so
Well, you know what? The new movie didn't do well.
yeah, the
I
Angelina
forgot
Jolie
about.
did though back in the day.
Yeah, no, that was really popular. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that was like before they started changing a lot of stuff with Tomb Raider.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's pretty weird. But I'm glad they're making another Tomb Raider. I
It is
guess.
confirmation of that for sure. So,
Yeah.
which is
I would like for them to dive into their other IPs. I like another Soul Reaper or maybe another Deus Ex or something like that. But
yeah. Well, Jason Schreier did say Deus Ex is probably in development, or he's his sources indicate that it's in development, so early stages. So, I mean, we're years out from these games coming out, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. Embracer, I mean, they must not have much cash on hand right now, or maybe they do and they just don't want to spend it, which is it's just weird. Why would you buy the studio though and then partner with Amazon to publish it? It's weird, you know. You're like giving up
maybe
profits.
Amazon has some. Maybe it's like a backwater or not backwater deal, but like a backhand deal where backroom deal. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Where they probably have like some kind of TV rights hidden in the clause or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
to where they can make a TV series out of it. Because I
I
can
can see that.
see Tomb Raider as an Amazon TV series.
That would be a really fun way to do Tomb Raider on television.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's a movie series. I think it would be a very very good, like one of those, almost one of those Jack Ryan fucking movie TV shows, like one of
I
those
could see
like
that.
really tactical espionage shows, but they can make it with Tomb Raider.
Well,
Like I think it
that
would be really cool.
or dude, you could even do it a little bit more low key, like casual, where it's like almost like a procedural, weekly, Law and Order style, where it's like a different thing
Oh
every week.
yeah, yeah. She
Um,
goes to like different.
yeah, she goes to different locations every week, in every episode.
Yeah,
Like that could be interesting too. I think
yeah,
Tomb
that'd be
Raider
really
would work
cool.
great doing that actually.
Yeah,
So you could be
I
right.
mean I
That
can
would be
see them.
interesting.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like
the only
Amazon would make that
reason.
deal too.
Oh yeah, because they're you can tell they're looking for more stuff.
Yep.
This is not on the list. Uh, but uh, speaking of Amazon, they are. I think they have confirmed that they're going to reboot Lord of the Rings.
No.
I think
No,
so.
they're not. They're talking about season 2, man.
I heard that it's going to be a soft reboot. That's what I'm hearing. That's word on the
Oh
street.
God.
People hate it. I think me and you are the only two people who like this fucking franchise.
This show, yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
this show. Yeah,
I mean, our friends won't even give it a chance, so
it's it's so misunderstood. I watch reviews on it and everything, and they just keep throwing that W word around.
it's like scathing,
Woke.
yeah.
It's woke, man. It's woke, man. It's too woke for us, bro.
No, are people really reviewing it like that?
Bro, when you get off here, that is your homework for next week. Actually, I'm gonna give you some homework. I want you to watch at least 2 YouTube videos. I'm not even gonna give you any YouTube videos. I want you
Okay.
to do it yourself.
Just go find them.
Just watch like Lord of the Rings,
Rings of
Rings of
Power.
Power review,
Yeah.
and type it in, and you will get some of the most negative shit you've
Okay.
ever. Like they'll be saying shit that you didn't even think about. You're like, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It it was one review. He had the nerve to say, it's just, bro, it's just too predictable and tropey. Have you read Lord of the
What?
Rings? Have you
What?
watched?
Lord of the Rings is
You
the origination of the trope, of the whole genre's tropes. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, isn't that's kind of what you want
I,
it to be, you know?
I was shocked, and I was just shocked and appalled. I'm like, this is insane.
Well, I think this is why when they announced this show, I was always skeptical, is because you have to live within the trappings of Lord of the Rings, which is the tropes, you know?
Yeah,
And I think that's going to be really difficult in this modern era where things like Game of Thrones exist and people love that shit, where it's like totally turns the tropes upside down, you know?
yeah.
Um, that I always thought that was an uphill battle for the show, and I think anything Lord of the Rings in general is always going to have that struggle because it is it is the thing that started it all with fantasy, you know. So getting away from that's really hard. I just think I don't know, dude. I don't think it was a
Well, the
bad
characters are
show.
like a lot of people are saying like I can't remember none of the characters' names now. But the half elf guy, half human guy,
Aaron dear.
Aaron, they were complaining. He had like a whole this one guy had like a whole 20-minute section about how they portrayed that character's fucking character arc. This is not Aaron. This isn't him. He wouldn't do this. Why would he do this to the dwarves? And I'm like, bro, did you watch the entire thing? Like
Oh, you're talking about
I
Elrond? I see.
Elrond,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, maybe because I'm not super divested into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I don't know. It was just really weird. I feel like people were complaining just to complain, but yeah, uh, Amazon themselves, I feel like they're looking for more stuff. Actually, for video games as a whole, I feel like everybody's trying to like jump in that bag. Now that the superhero well has
Oh
kind
my
of dried
god.
out.
Everybody,
Uh,
dude. Sony is making a
yeah,
TV show of everything, every IP they
yeah,
have. Like
yeah.
fucking
I
Gran
don't, I don't know how
Turismo
I
is
feel
getting a
about
TV
this.
show.
You said, I'm sorry. You said what now?
Yeah, Gran Turismo. Yeah, that I think did we not talk about it on the show? I don't know. We don't talk about these that much because we don't care, you and I. But yeah, no, Gran Turismo's. I think it's getting either a movie or a television show. Um,
That's
and
insane.
the premise is actually interesting. From what I remember, it was something along the lines of like somebody who plays like in the show plays Gran Turismo, and they become an actual racer. You know, like
Oh,
within
okay.
the
That's
actual
that's
league.
pretty
You
cool.
know, and that the story is about them like ascending the ranks, you know, from that perspective. So it's actually an interesting idea, but you know, it's again though, it's just like it's like, dude, we're gonna get a God of War television show. There's a Twisted
We're
Metal
getting
show that's already in post production, I think, and then there's like,
we're getting a
you know,
40K show
oh my god, oh,
with Henry Cavill.
oh, you're right, that just got announced. Yeah,
Yep.
well, he's
Uh,
he's a sexist piece of shit now, apparently, right? God.
oh my god, I feel so bad for that man.
I really do too, man. His like name
I
is getting slandered and
I,
dragged
I
through the
feel
mud.
bad for him from both sides though. I feel
Yeah.
like I don't really want to call ourselves sweaty nerds, but I feel like some of the gamers
People
both
who
sides of the
people who play
yeah
League of
like
Legends.
yeah like us, right? Like they've held this dude as his champion because like I guess a lot of people see themselves as Henry Cavill.
Well,
Um,
he's like the shining beacon of what we could be, you know?
yeah, yeah. There you go.
Right.
That's a good
We're
example,
living the
right?
nerd dream.
Yeah. And then like there's this other side that ever since they found out that's who he is, they actively try to tear it down. Um,
Dude, he's been on shows. He was getting interviewed by some talk show host, and they were fucking cackling with laughter when he was talking about Warhammer miniatures and like painting Warhammer miniatures. And
mhm.
he's like sitting there trying to explain it and like you know why he likes it so much. And this guy's literally like fucking laughing in his face. You know, it's just like, all right, there's just still so many ignorant fucking assholes out there that just think gaming and like board games and video games are like loser shit, you know? And like
Yeah.
it's
It,
just ugh.
But you know what was interesting? Like on the other side of that spectrum, right, where I was talking about like the nerds kind of hold him up to this kind of I feel like he's getting on both sides because the nerds do it to him as well. Not the nerds, but like the other side of gamers, like they do it to him as well. Where we're like, oh, well, you guys don't understand them, but it's like we don't understand them either because even in that Asmongold video, the guy was like, uh, he said that Henry Cavill said he didn't want to have too many scenes with his shirt off because like that's not really The Witcher or whatever, right?
Yeah.
and he was like, and the guy that was saying that was like, well, man, if I was Jack like Henry Cavill, I was like, that can't be true. I'd love to have my shirt off and everything like that. And then Asmongold pushed back on that and was like, yeah, maybe you would feel like that,
Yep.
but he shouldn't have to. He's like, that's like, it's almost like, if you see a hot girl and she's wearing this to get attention. Like maybe she just wants to wear that because she likes to wear that. And it's
Or
like
the
same thing
total
with Henry
opposite. She
Cavill.
never wears anything revealing, even though she could, and then
Exactly.
like, but it's like she doesn't want to. It's like,
Exactly. And it's like the same thing with Henry Cavill. Like, yeah, he has this body or whatever the case may be, but he doesn't want to fucking take his shirt off and shit. Like, like that's
mm,
totally viable. So I feel like he's getting it from both sides as far as like it's just gonna be a weird thing to see over the next couple of years how he handles it.
yeah,
I actually feel kind of bad for him because
yeah.
he's getting stuck into a war that I don't think anyone should
Well,
get put
I don't,
into.
dude. It's what's happening with the Witcher television show is extremely weird, and obviously him leaving was the first, sign. Obviously, that there were signs before that I think none of us really noticed, but that was the first like major thing that brought it into the headlines. But this like kind of underground war going on to either make the writers of the show look bad or Henry Cavill look bad is like a really weird back and forth because all
Yeah.
the shit that's come out the last couple of days about Cavill being toxic on set and treating women poorly and stuff, and it's like, and they're like, talking shit about him being a gamer. They're like, oh yeah, he's toxic toward women, and that's because he's a gamer. And it's like, what are you talking about? You sound like a fucking Fox News anchor from like fucking 2005. Like, what are you talking about? What does him having being a gamer have anything to do with any toxic personality he may or may not have? It's like completely irrelevant. It's just like a prejudice. It's
Yeah.
fucking so annoying, man. And I think I'm gonna be honest, like I don't know, I don't want to get like too like we're not explaining the super, we're just kind of ad libbing this right now, but like he basically there's been like rumors going around. Some people on the show are talking that worked on the show, and they're kind of talking shit to reporters like off the record, kind of not off the record, but like anonymously,
Yeah.
and saying he was toxic to the showrunners, he was toxic to the female showrunner, specifically Lauren Hisrich, um, which is very interesting because she's um, I don't know if it's coming from her or people that like are like part of her camp or whatever, on the show, because she's an interesting figure. If you go look at her on Twitter, she's very vocal. Like she's a very vocal liberal on Twitter,
Yeah.
but she's not a toxic one. She's not one
Yeah.
that like fucking goes at people and tells them they can die if they're a fucking conservative. She actually tries to engage with that side. And I have a lot of
Yeah.
respect for her for that. So I don't
That's
necessarily
why
think
all
this
this
is
is so weird to
it is
me.
super
Yeah, 'cause
weird. I don't think it's
yeah.
coming from her. I think there's some people that are very butthurt on that show, that work for that show, and they don't like the way they're being painted either. So they're trying to paint Henry Cavill in a bad light, in return. And I just think it's so childish, dude. It's like, let the guy fucking move on. Move on. Let him move on, and you move on. Okay, like your show was renewed for season 4. Like, get over it. You're gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. He's got a fucking 40K show just lined up now because he's free. Because he's not
Yep.
Superman and he's not Geralt anymore. It's like everybody's fine. Just move on. Instead, it's like this, just like cat fight almost. It feels like, but
Yeah,
it's
even
like
with the
Cavill hasn't
Superman
said
thing.
shit, dude. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't said a word. Like, he hasn't talked shit about anybody. Like, at least not publicly. So
Yeah, I think somebody actually tried to ask him about it, and he was just like, it's their show, and I wish them the best." Like that's all he said about it, and
yeah.
it's weird because people were like, and this is what I'm talking about. This war, this like GamerGate 2.0 shit. When the Superman news got announced, people were like, "See, you deserve it, you toxic piece of asshole." And I'm like, "Where is this coming from? Like,
Oh my
like
god, man.
where is this coming from?"
Yeah.
I I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah.
So I actually feel bad too for I just feel bad because I don't think a lot of these actors are knowing what they're getting into. Like this is a war that a lot of them are going to be stepping into because they just probably some of them just love the video games or they even never even heard of video games. I think it's a good idea to do, and they're going to be into this war that has been going on since like 2010, and it's just not going to stop. And I
Yeah.
feel bad for him. Like
Well,
I just feel
it
bad.
also
So
kind of just makes me feel bad in general, right? Like I thought as a society we were kind of past this kind of shit, and it's like reemerged that man, there are still a lot of people out there that think you're a fucking loser if you play video games past the age of like 15, you know. And
yeah,
it's
there's
like,
been this weird narrative, especially
yeah,
on social media, um, just like slandering guys who play video games. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's there, and I'm just like, I don't get it. So,
I'm just over here
uh,
trying to enjoy my Genshin Impact, okay? You know, my anime characters that, you know, are
yeah, you're a degenerate though. I have every right to talk shit about you.
I mean, maybe I
Every
deserve
right.
shit to be talked about me, but you know what? I'm minding my own business. All right. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not like a missionary, you know, coming around being like, oh, you should play Genshin Impact. Like, nah, bro. I just play it and that's it. Leave it alone.
Yeah, no, I know I'll be talking shit, but
No, I
yeah,
know. I know.
I don't really mess with other people's communities and stuff like that. I just talk shit because I
Mhm.
mean I talk shit about my own community all the time. So
Well,
about my own games communities. So
yeah,
it's like
I
it's
mean
just fun banter.
that's where it annoys me because there's like they're pointing to like the toxic elements of gaming, and yes, there are toxic elements of gaming. However, there are also toxic elements within the movie industry, within the television industry, within all these industries. Like everywhere, there's toxic elements. There are extreme people who are very toxic, and to paint all of us with a broad brush because there are bad apples within, you know, our base is like, come on, dude. It's like it's just so it's annoying. It's
Yeah,
super irritating.
yeah, it happens with every community though, like
No, I
every
know. Yeah.
community.
Right.
So I mean, even I had to learn like I I had a disdain for furries for the longest.
Mm, mhm.
But then like I found out that some of my friends are furries, or and I'm like people I talk to on Twitter every day, or like are in my gun communities and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna talk shit about y'all anymore. Like y'all are actually pretty cool, and I let it go. I just thought it was fucking weird, and that's just me being ignorant, right? So, I don't know. It's just shit that all of us have to get over. I think it's just a human thing. People just for our brains to comprehend and process stuff, it's easier to just paint everything as a broad picture,
Yeah.
uh,
Right. Then to think about the nuance.
than to actually, yeah, think about
Right.
the nuance and stuff like
For
that.
sure.
So I don't know, but yeah, I don't know with this Henry Cavill thing, and that I mean, getting back to like the Tomb Raider thing, I think that's what's gonna happen. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we hear next year Tomb Raider has a fucking TV series, Amazon TV series come out. I don't know. It just seems very Amazon. When I think Tomb Raider, I do think Amazon. I have no idea why. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's get back into the news and move on here. So our next story is a leak. So someone named Viewer Anon, and this person, whoever they are, is a leaker. However, they're not a leaker for video games generally. They are a leaker in the television space. Um, and but they know things about the Last of Us television show, and as a result, know things about Naughty Dog by association. And they tweeted out on Twitter this past week that the next game that Naughty Dog is working on is The Last of Us Part 3, which will be Neil's next game, is what they say. Um, so this was already like I'd almost say semi confirmed because Neil Druckmann himself, literally like a year ago, said that the story outline for part 3 was already written and finished. It was he didn't say that they were working on the game or that it was in production or anything like that, but it was done, meaning that they could start it whenever they wanted. So the idea that this is their next game makes sense. I think given the end of part 2 and where that game kind of left us with the story, a part 3 is, in my opinion, inevitable. Has been inevitable. But Montreal, what do you make of this news? Is this exciting to you? Or are you disappointed? How you
no,
feeling?
I'm not disappointed. I'm glad they're already in development of it. To be honest with you, I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually seeing how this may be the part where the story ends.
It's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, whether they the only part I'm disappointed in, and I You know what? I'm not disappointed. I don't know where they're going to take the story. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if they're going to try to be as bold as they were with the last story. Part two, it was too bold
Yeah.
for a lot of people. I thought it was the right amount of boldness. Even we talked about it, like certain things needed. If you rearrange certain things, yeah,
Yeah.
I think everybody could have been kind of happy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but even still, I think the way the story is presented, I liked it. Um, I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do with part three. I'm
Hmm.
I'm actually interested to see if they're even going to do anything with Ellie at all. To be honest with
They
you,
will. I think she'll be in the game for sure.
okay.
I think ending her arc is really important in the third game. To be honest, like if you guys want to know like deeper, if you played the game and you want to hear like our deeper thoughts on this, we do talk about this in our spoiler cast from a few years back, when the game came out. So check that out for that. But to me, yeah, I think there's kind of an obvious. I think there's a really obvious story path for this third game, and I think I think they have to tell that story. They can't leave it where they left part two. It's just too it's like too dark, in my opinion. I mean it is a dark franchise, but like it wasn't a satisfying ending if that's really the end, you know.
Yeah,
I like it for what it is with the idea that it will continue and finish in another game,
yeah.
personally. So,
Yeah, they can take it a lot of different ways, to be honest with you. So I'm actually looking forward to part three. I think it's gonna be really cool. I did see people that were upset about it, but I mean, what did y'all expect? It's The
yeah, I
Last
mean,
of Us, huh?
it's an important franchise for Naughty Dog. I think that I understand people's disappointment though, not even just in the sense that if you didn't like part 2, or you don't like where they're taking the franchise, like I think in the sense that this will now by the time this game comes out, it will have been like 15 years almost where Naughty Dog has basically been exclusively working on The Last of Us, basically. So, I do get it from that perspective. This is a really talented studio that makes extremely high quality video games. And I would love to see them branch out into a different genre or a different setting, entirely, and to kind of see what that looks like. So, you know, to potentially know that that's not going to happen for another, who knows, 10 years at this point.
Hmm.
That I can understand the disappointment there. But it's also possible that the studios got a couple things in development. We know they're working on factions, so you've got one team working on that, potentially a team working on this game, and then maybe there's a third team though working on something else. They are conceivably big enough to do that. You know, so we shall see. I think factions too is supposed to be. We're supposed to be learning more about it next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out next year as well. So, maybe that'll free up some resources that can go on to this game or another project that they have. But yeah, I'm excited personally. I am looking forward to seeing the end of this story. So, all right, Montreal, let's move on. Final story this week is MPD numbers for November for the game industry. So, we'll go over the overalls. 3% increase from last year, about 6.3 billion this year versus 6.1 billion last year. A negative 5% decrease for total video game content. So this is game sales, microtransactions, subscriptions. So 4.75 or so billion this year versus basically about 5 billion last year. Video game hardware though is up 45% year over year, 1.25 billion this year versus 866 million last year, and then video game accessories up 10%, 289 million this year versus 262 million last year. And then top 20 games in the US for the month of November. Number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Number 2, God of War Ragnarok. Number 3, Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Number 4, Sonic Frontiers. Number 5, Madden NFL 23. Number 6, FIFA 23. Number 7, NBA 2K 23. Number 8, Gotham Knights. Number 9, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 10, Mario Party Superstars randomly. Number 11, Elden Ring. Number 12, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 13, Mario Kart 8. Number 14, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Number 15, Persona 5. Number 16, NHL 23. 17, Tactics Ogre Reborn. What? Number 18, Minecraft. Number 19, Horizon Forbidden West. And number 20, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which hilariously on this screen that I'm reading from looks like it says The Legend of Zelda Breath of Nintendo The Wild. So that's funny. A lot of Nintendo on here. I am assuming that is because of Black Friday, would be my guess.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
the one time of year that Nintendo games kind of go on sale in unison. So that kind of makes sense. But anything jumping out to your Montrell? Surprises?
uh, to be honest with you, Sonic Frontiers being number
Mm-hmm.
4 is kind of
Mm-hmm.
surprising. Um,
That is a really
a lot of
strong
people hate
showing.
this game. Yeah, a lot of people hate this game. A lot of people love this game. This is a divisive game. So,
Yeah. Um.
I'm actually surprised to see Gotham Knights at number 8,
Yeah.
but I'm not surprised because it's a Gotham game. So,
Yeah. It is weird though, because Batman's not in the game, but maybe people don't know that. you know.
I think the word Gotham is just
Yeah.
synonymous with Batman, and people are gonna
Yeah.
buy it just off that strength alone.
Yeah.
You know.
Tactics Ogre making the list is nice. Nice to see. Actually,
Ah,
kind of
yeah,
want.
it did. It's 17. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to go look. Is like how well did this do relative to Triangle Strategy in its launch month? Because I remember Triangle Strategy. I feel like was higher, but I might be
It
misremembering
probably
that.
was, to
But it
be
was a
honest with
Switch
you, but
exclusive, right? So,
yeah.
um, yeah, hold on, I'll look it up. Go ahead, keep going if there's anything else you want to talk about on the list.
No, that's pretty. I mean, Breath of the Wild. I don't know why they have a sale for it. It was like a
It was
buy
probably
one
on
get
sale for
one
Black
free.
Friday.
Okay.
Let's see, Stranger Paradise. Oh no, Triangle Strategy is number 16 in March.
Okay.
And it released a few days earlier in the month, probably about 5 or 6 than Tactics Ogre did. I believe Triangle Strategy came out the 1st or 2nd of March, and Tactics Ogre was the 8th of November. So a little bit shorter time span on the market. So it may have been in a similar spot if it had the full month to it. So that is interesting. So pretty similar sales. It was on all platforms though, Tactics Ogre, whereas Triangle Strategy was just on Switch. But given that Ogre's been re-released before and it's an old game, many people may not have picked it up because they've played it before. So, um, but strong showing nonetheless for a game like that, in my opinion. Yeah, the rest of this Persona, I guess, just came out on Switch, didn't it?
Yeah.
Persona 5. And then of course all the sports games. The rest of this is pretty standard for the most part. God of War being 2, couldn't beat out Call of Duty for the month. With
Yeah. That wasn't gonna happen. When I played Call of Duty, I knew that wasn't gonna happen.
No, I know, but COD came out in October, right? So there was a peak of a chance maybe that God of War would be able to outsell it for the month of November, but not quite. And then you know, technical issues be damned. Pokemon Scarlet Violet number 3. So whatever,
yeah.
man. You
That's
don't get
why
punished for it.
that's why I ignored it. I didn't even want to go on the rant with that.
Yeah, it's okay. I just had to mention it real quick. So, but
Yeah.
all right. Um, let's see. Actually, we got one more month of MPD for this month. We'll go over the top selling games of the year for next month. So, all right, Montreal. That's it for news. And I think it is time for us to talk God of War Ragnarok. We both beaten the game. And I never got through. I didn't get through the post game stuff, so I don't have any thoughts on that. But I don't, from what I've heard, it's nice, but it's not like super important. Um,
Right.
I will get
Just
through it eventually. Yeah, go ahead.
just give me like 1 minute to get a cup of water. I am kind of stuffy, y'all, so I apologize. But just give me a cup of water, and then I'll be right back.
Okay,
You
I'll
start.
keep talking here, so don't worry about
All
it.
right.
Yeah. So God of War Ragnarok. I think overall, I really I really enjoyed this game. It took me a while to get for it to get its hooks in me, but once it did, I was pretty much playing it almost exclusively for 2 or 3 weeks, straight for the most part. I did have a bit of a dip at the end, where I kind of was off it for a few days. But that wasn't really due to the game, more so than it was like at the specific time. I just wasn't able to play very much, those nights. So it was definitely a gripping game. I think from start to finish, I was pretty riveted by it. The story overall was solid, very good, and kept me engaged. The combat certainly kept me engaged as well. I mean, it's if you like 2018, you're gonna like this, right? From a gameplay standpoint. But I do think this game is overall for me weaker than 2018, and maybe I need to go back and play 2018 again, and
All right, I am back.
okay, I might need to go back and play 2018 again, but I I just remember feeling a lot stronger about that game than I do this game. Um, ultimately, I don't I don't know. There's just something about this game that was part of it was the bloat. There's just a lot to do in this game that I think is superfluous and unnecessary. I think there's a lot of moments in this game, sections of the game that are really dragged out. They just stretch them as far as possible, in order to kind of pad the game time out for whatever reason. I just don't know why they felt that was necessary. And to be honest, it's like really obvious too, and it's frustrating. It's kind of in your face how much they're padding the game because there are so many times in this game where you will be going through an area that you haven't been before, and you're in a story section where like characters are talking and whatnot, but you'll have like two characters having a conversation, and then you'll walk into a combat arena and they'll stop talking immediately, and you fight the combat, and then they just pick up the conversation where they left off, and it's like, why like, why are you gonna do that? It was like really frustrating how often that happened because they'd be talking about something and I'm like really engaged with that thing. It's really interesting. And then bam, you throw a fucking combat encounter and it's like a hyper annoying one that takes me like 20 minutes to get through because it's like I'm playing on hard and I fucking die 4 times, and it's just like, and then by the time I'm done, they start talking again. I'm like, I don't even remember what the fuck they were talking about. It's so the some of the structure of that stuff was like a little annoying for me. And when we get into spoilers, like there are, I'll talk about specific sections. I don't want to talk about them right now, but so overall, like I think the game is really good. It's just like there's just enough of this stuff that like adds up where it kind of pulls the game down for me. Between the bloat, the like kind of design of some of these narrative sections, and just overall, and even the combat itself, as much as I do enjoy it, the game just does not give you enough tools early in the game, in my opinion. It takes way too long for the combat to become really fun. I think the early part of this game is like not great, overall. So, those are my overall thoughts. Montreal, do you want to go into your like non-spoiler, just like overall kind of thoughts?
um, yeah, I'm trying to. I don't. This game has me at odds with itself.
Yeah.
At one point, I didn't think the combat was good, and then at another point, I thought the combat was phenomenal. Um, like I said, I apologize, y'all. I have a cold, so I know I sound stuffy throughout the whole podcast, but yeah,
Appreciate you
but
powering
yeah,
through it.
um, it was just it was a weird experience. Uh, there are a lot of powerful moments throughout the game for me. Not necessarily at the end, but it was just throughout the game. There were certain moments that are like super powerful. Especially like coming from somebody who's really close to their father.
Yeah.
So it was just really powerful for me. Um, but there were certain moments though where I was genuinely annoyed with the game because I just wanted to move on with the story,
Mm-hmm.
and the game itself wanted me to do other stuff.
Yep.
I had to talk to a fucking, well, I'm not gonna. I get to that spoiler, but the game genuinely wanted me to do this other stuff to where they would literally say, "Hey, we go to the right, we can continue on with the story. If you go to the left, we can do side missions. Like that's
They
literally
do
what they
that a
were
lot.
saying.
They do that a
Yeah.
lot, dude. They do that a lot.
Um. And I don't know. I feel like at one point the game wanted to be more open world, and then
Yeah.
they wanted to close it in to not be open world.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the last world or like that last fight when you're like guy or whatever. I'm not gonna spoil it, but and then you drop down in that whole massive open land. And it was like they wanted you to explore that, right? And then two, I just think the game itself. Hey, what's up, Deli?
Oh, is
I
it
just
Kitty?
yeah, it's Deli.
Oh,
It's
hi,
Deli
Deli.
this time, not Silas. But I just think I think a lot of it is held back, and I'm sorry, PlayStation 4 people, but I think the game is held back by y'all. Like,
Hell yeah,
it's
absolutely. It's
it,
all over this game, dude. Oh my god.
it's so apparent, especially um at later parts of the game. It's so apparent
Well, it's
that they held back a lot of shit
dude, it's like
for
the fast travel system, the all the little shimmying moments where you shimmy between, like a couple like really tight walls, or you're
yeah
shimmying along a wall, like a cliff edge or something. Like all those moments are like loading. They're loading buffers. Like that's what they are. They're not there because they're engaging. They're there as they're loading buffers, dude. Like that's
yeah
what they're there for.
yeah.
That's their purpose. And they're all over this game, and it's really frustrating. And like you said, the end of the game is where this being a PS4 game is the most fucking obvious. Because there's supposed to be like some crazy massive battle going on and there's nobody around.
Okay, that's why I didn't want to spoil it. But yeah, there's just like
Okay, do we
this
need to
is
get into spoilers?
yeah.
Like,
Let's just get
okay,
into
so
spoilers
we're
because
getting into
we're
spoilers,
probably
guys.
gonna we're
Yeah,
probably gonna work our way from the top back.
I
To be
agree.
honest with you,
Um,
because
the game.
it
Well, before we get there, game overall, I recommend it for sure. If you like
oh
2018,
yeah,
you're gonna like this
100%.
game. It is
Yeah,
a great
100%.
game.
It is a great game. It's a 8.5 to a 9 for me.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't I wouldn't give it a 10. Um,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
Yeah.
But like for other people it's a 10, but for me it's 8.5 to 9.
Yeah.
Uh, some of the combat aspects needs to be worked on. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I think they need to go
Almost
it's
back to the drawing board.
certain yeah, man. I think certain aspects of this game, bro, they really just wanted to go back to God of War 1, like the original God
Yeah.
of War. Like you can tell,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
director himself was like, I really just want to unleash everything on this game. But they don't do it. And it's
Yeah.
so annoying that they don't do it. And then too, I understand because they're trying to hand the mantle off to like Atreus. You know what I'm saying? So I get certain aspects of the game. But yeah, that now spoiler territory, right? If you're ready, you got anything else to say? I'm sorry.
Nope. Let's go. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Yeah. So, um, this game, I've been waiting for this massive fucking battle for fucking
Yeah.
5, 6 years, bro.
Well, dude, and not
Um,
only did that, they set it up in the game,
they
like hype the shit out of you because you have this
hyping the
giant fucking Ragnarok monster that you're gonna
yeah,
summon, right? And
yeah.
oh my god, it's like a wet fart, you know?
It's so crazy. This was supposed to be the end game moment. This is Marvel end game. This is when fucking Captain America is like on his last leg, and then everybody comes to the portal and just like
Yeah.
comes to
Yep.
help him out, help
Yep.
beat Thanos, right?
Yep.
This is what I envisioned. This is how the game was setting it up, actually, to
Yeah.
be right. And you get through the portal, you see the fucking elves fly over,
Yep.
and
It
that's
looks like a
it.
battle
It
initially.
looks like a battle in the sky.
And that's it. And then
That's it.
you're in these little combat arenas and all the gates where all the other armies are supposed to come from get immediately destroyed within like 5 minutes of you showing up. And you're just like, "Oh, this is how they're doing it, huh?" Like they're not even going to have the armies come through. Like the PS4 can't handle it, you know? Like they couldn't handle
They
all of them showing up. Cuz then they throw
and
you
then my,
they throw you the curveball of the dwarves. They don't even come because like, um Sindri is just like, no, fuck
yeah,
you. I don't want any more dwarves dying for this bullshit, So it's like
yeah.
there's no army. It's literally just Kratos and like Freya and Atreus and Freyr like fighting. like everything basically,
Yeah, I was so upset because the way they have it too, like, okay, maybe you guys like, well, Montrell, that's part Montrell and Justin, that's part of the story, to make the stakes higher. Okay, understandable. Bro, as soon as you get into it, I saw it. Like, and I'm not even a game designer, and I saw it. And they had your main, like you said, little combat arenas, but they had it sectioned off with high walls to where
Yep.
you can't see
You can't
the
see
other
anything else
armies.
going on. Yep.
You can't see anything else
Yeah,
going
you
on.
keep jumping into pits constantly. Like
Yeah.
it's so obvious that the game is like they're trying to hide that PS4, power
Yeah.
basically in these moments.
And I don't know. I don't know if they could have done anything better. To be honest with you, like I don't know what they could have done. Because I've seen
Not make the
like
game
Call
on
of Duty
PS4.
games. Yeah, like I've seen Call of Duty games, right? And Battlefield games, they have like massive people on screen, like just like the campaigns, and they
Mhm.
give you the grand sense of you're fighting in a massive battle. And I think they could have did that a lot better. They could have even used the same techniques that those games employ to give you the grand sense of that you're fighting in this massive battle, but they didn't. And it was just in the setup for it's like, yeah, Kratos is like, yeah, they're like, oh, can you lead the army, Kratos? And he's like, yeah,
Well, they
okay,
spend
I'll
hours setting all this up too. This is I think this is where I get frustrated too. Is like I get what they're going for with the theme at the end, is basically like being better, like actually being better. But like it's really frustrating that they send you on this quest to go find Surtur, and turn him into the Ragnarok monster, and you immediately regret that choice upon the Ragnarok monster showing up. It's like
yep.
and then it becomes like a race to stop the Ragnarok monster, which you don't really do actually. Freyr kind of does it. But it's like I don't know. It just kind of it was annoying to have all this setup that was immediately like completely just ripped out and was like, nope, we actually don't want to kill we don't want to fight. We don't want to rip the walls down. We don't want to kill all the Asgardians. It's like at the 11th hour, Kratos and Atreus have this epiphany like, oh, we're going to kill everybody. Oh, we don't want to kill everybody. Shit. It's like, I don't know.
Well,
I
I
think
didn't
it was
really.
really ham fisted, to be honest. Like, that they didn't think about that beforehand. It was like the fucking Midgardians that were there, the humans that were there being used as cannon fodder on the artillery things. That was the thing that like got them to
Well,
realize that they shouldn't be doing this. Like,
well, that's the thing, right? I feel like I knew where they were going for, and I got it.
mhm.
I thought the presentation wasn't great.
Yeah,
I
right.
felt like if you had to showed us like I would have been okay. This would have been the only time I would have been okay with this. I would have been okay with the CGI cutscene right there, where you're showing Kratos and Atreus going to massive battles.
Yeah.
Like where there's in between, like
Yeah.
the pits that you fight and everything like that. In each section, it goes into like a CGI cutscene or whatever to
Yeah.
show the cannon fodder of the Midgardians dying and Zeus and I'm about to say Zeus, Odin using them, Odin using them for that. uh I don't know. The world as a whole. So God of War 1, the world felt small, but it felt like you're only seeing a piece of the world, right?
Yeah. Right.
So it felt way bigger in my imagination in the way the game set it up. In this game, you go to almost every world, but the world still feels so small. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it to y'all, but it feels so small. And then when you get to the final battle, it just feels even smaller.
Well,
And
you're so restricted in what you can do in a lot of these areas too. I think
yeah,
I want to go back to like because what you said earlier, I think is the what is really what I'm thinking of here is that this game is a game designed at odds with itself. Where there are periods of this game where it's so clear that it's a linear, Uncharted style action adventure game where they want you to experience story. And then there's sections of this game where you are free to do whatever you want and you can go do a bunch of side quests if you want for like 10 hours straight and it's like trying to be like like a semi open world game with like RPG side quests,
yeah.
and it's like the two things in 2018 married together much better I think than they do here. I think here, I'm often playing this game thinking to myself, my God, why is there so much shit to do in this fucking game? Why didn't they just make this whole thing fucking linear? Because it's clear for about half the game's runtime, main story runtime, that's what they wanted to make. Because there's so many times in this game where you can't go do side quests. You either don't have characters you need, or like you were literally not playing Kratos, so you can't do the fucking side quests. You know, like there's like fucking 8 hours of Atreus gameplay in this game. And it's like I didn't mind that. I liked it personally. I know this was like kind of a sticking point for some people. I actually really like that change of pace. It's just frustrating though in a game where you
Yeah.
do the fucking Vanaheim. You're like doing the Atreus section, right? With Atreus, and you come back from Asgard, and then you go to Vanaheim as Kratos with Freya. And that whole section is like this really long linear section, and then they open it up at the end, and then they're
Yeah.
like, well, you can go back to the house, or we can do some side quests, brother. It's like, but if you go back to the house, I'm trying to remember what happened there, because I think if you go back to the house, you're like locked into another story section at that point. You cannot fucking like you can't do side quests again for another couple hours. It's like that happens a few times in the game,
Yeah.
where the game fucking locks you into like into the main quest, and you suddenly can't do side content anymore. Whereas I don't like 2018. I don't remember that issue as much. Maybe it was because I was doing the side content as it opened up a lot more. I wasn't doing
I-
that in this game as much because there was just too much
In
side content. But yeah.
in my opinion, it wasn't as much side content, so it kind of flowed together really well in
hmm
the first game.
Well, remember,
And
it was all centered. All the side content was pretty much centered around the Temple of Tyr in the first
yeah,
game, right? And it was
yeah,
the water level lowering that opened new areas up, or
yeah,
rising. Was it rising? I think it was rising and lowering. It kind of did both. I forget. You can
yeah. It was like a water temple Zelda type deal
yeah,
going
and
on
that was
there.
where most of the side content was around the main temple, and it unlocked as you played the game. But it was all in that main one hub area for the most part. So I feel like it worked a lot better there, personally.
Yeah, I don't know for this game. So what they usually do is like they will lock you into side content, but then at the end of the mission, sometimes the mission doesn't end like with it telling you like it's the end of the mission. If that makes any sense, it kind of leaves it open for you to
Right.
go before you get to the next story beat. Even the characters don't even say anything. You can just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like there were plenty of times where I just ran across the berserker stones,
Yeah.
gravestones,
Yeah.
at the end of a story mission,
Yeah.
and I'll fight them or whatever. Um, so it's like a give or take. Sometimes they will actually physically tell you, like, hey, we can go do this or we can go do that. And then sometimes they'll kind of incorporate in the story to do the side mission or something like that. Or
hmm
at the end of a story mission, you can kind of do whatever you want to do. They don't really tell you. So I think they did a, a decent job at that. It was just still super obvious. Um, I don't know. I just felt the game was very PlayStation 4ish
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to really describe it to y'all without like you just gotta play the game. And if you really don't know what like gaming structure and how gaming structure is and everything like that, you don't have to be a game designer or anything like that. You can just clearly see that this game was held back by its architecture. Um, there's certain points too. I actually tested it because I was bored one day. Um, when you're running through the other world, transferring when you're
Oh
on
yeah.
the world tree,
Yeah.
not was is it called the world tree, right?
Yeah.
I'm
The
sorry.
World Tree. Yeah.
Uh uh you can physically just stand there and then
Yep.
the other door will appear
Yep.
and you don't have to run
Yep.
at all. And I
You
did
do
that.
not have to move. You have to wait for the lines to finish and then move forward a little bit, and the door will appear. Like
Yep.
it's just a
Um
total illusion. Like
Now, which I appreciate. I appreciate they gave us a lot of dialogue and everything. Like my girl was watching me play.
hmm
She appreciated the dialogue. Um in the slower sections of the game and everything. Like I took that for granted, but she was like loving that shit. She enjoyed watching me play this game. just because of that tidbit.
But even
Whereas
that is taken to an extreme sometimes, where the sections where Atreus is alone, like
yeah,
when he's climbing the fucking wall to get into
yeah.
Asgard, and he's literally just talking to himself the whole time. He's like, "This is crazy. What am I doing? Oh, Atreus, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, oh, you're gonna go fucking talk to Thor and Odin. Oh God, what are you doing, man? This is crazy." He's like, just talking. It's like, dude, just shut up, okay? Like,
So,
let there be a silent moment in the game. It's okay. It doesn't have to be full of dialogue every second.
all right. So speaking of the dialogue, I love the dialogue in this game.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, y'all. And I know y'all about to tear me a new one for this
Oh,
shit.
oh boy. Am I gonna tear you one?
Probably. It depends on how you feel about it.
Mm.
Uh, love the dialogue, especially between Atreus and Kratos. Uh, especially between Freya and Kratos,
Oh yeah.
and even Mimir. Like, I love the dialogue, right?
Me too.
um, Odin. I love Odin. I think Odin's a phenomenal character, by the way. You
Yeah.
saw his trickery. You saw how he is. You saw how he can influence. It was at certain points of the game that I forgot he was the bad guy. I'm like, damn, this guy
You
is
just
like,
get it. They
you know,
did a good job with that. Yeah, they
yeah.
did. Yeah.
But did you feel like he was very Marvel-y? Especially when him and Atreus are talking. It's very like, and Heimdall. It's so
Yeah. Heimdall
Marvel quipply. It's
Heimdall
like,
Heimdall was definitely, I think at first I liked him, and then he got really grating the longer he was on screen, because his whole shtick the whole time was, you can't do anything to me. I'm smarter than you. I know what you're thinking. And like, just the schmarmy way he would deliver his lines started to become really fucking annoying, to the point that when Kratos is murdering him, it's like choking him out. I'm like, yes, yes, fuck this guy, and I think that's the point. They want you to hate this dude. Like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like the bad guy, amongst the remaining Asgardians. But yeah, with Odin, I thought he was really well done for most of the game. And then I think at the end, this is like the end of the game, to me, is kind of really like lets the game down for me a lot,
Mm-hmm.
because Odin became a cartoon villain at the end, when
Yes, he
you're
did.
you're fighting you're fighting Thor, and you're having this really drawn out fucking brutal fight with Thor, and Thor is like basically like crying in the middle of it, screaming about his daughter, and like how Atreus like is trying to like save him or whatever, and it's like, he almost succeeded, and Kratos is like, dude, I don't want to fight you, bro. I don't want to fight you, bro. I really don't want to fight you, bro. Like, I didn't do anything to your daughter. I'm not here to do anything to your daughter. I'm here to deal with Odin. And like, but Thor's not having it, right? He's just bloodthirsty in that moment, right? And then you finish the battle, and they come to blows, and there's a cutscene, and then Kratos finally fucking gets through to him. It's like, dude, like, I don't give a shit what you did, okay? What you've done, okay? Like, look at me. Like, you don't know what I've done. What are you gonna do now? That's what matters. And that actually gets through to Thor, and Thor puts the hammer down and is like, okay, I'm not, I'm not, I don't need to do this. And it feels like he's finally gonna back down. And then fucking Odin shows up and stabs Thor and kills Thor. And it's just so cartoon. It's such a cartoony villain moment, because he's literally looking at Atreus and Kratos, and like Atreus runs up and is like, no. It's like, why are you doing this? And Odin's just sitting there like, ha ha ha, you're making me do this. You made me do this. This is because of you. This is your fault. And it's like, bro, you're the one stabbing him. Like, what the fuck? It's like, nobody made you do anything. It's like so
Yeah.
cartoony. It took me out of the
It,
moment so hard, dude. Like, I was
so
just,
that whole dynamic, right?
yeah,
Was really weird. I actually hate the way Thor's character arc ended.
me too.
Um,
I
I
hate the fact that he died. I really,
yeah,
really hate the fact that he died. I think it was a terrible decision, to me, from like
yeah,
a
it
storytelling
was.
standpoint. Like, he didn't get to
He
redeem himself. He didn't get
he
to
was
redeem himself. Like,
he- his story arc was so miserable.
yeah,
And it's not miserable like it was bad writing. It was miserable because it was really good writing.
It's just
throughout the
depressing. The
entire
whole thing is
yeah,
depressing the
it's
whole time.
he
Yeah.
lost his sons. In the first game, he lost his two sons. And then in this game, he loses like almost his dignity. Like he did.
Yeah.
He loses his dignity in this game. He was sober, and then he lost the trust of his daughter because he started drinking again, which I thought the bar scene was like very fucking funny, by the way. That shit
That was
was
an awesome that
yeah.
was a really awesome gameplay sequence. I will
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Yeah. Um the fact that they didn't give a shit about life because they're just gonna revive anyway, like it was just
Yeah.
hilarious to me.
Right.
But so like it just showed like even these gods like have flaws, right? And that's what I actually liked about Odin. Odin is like us, like you know how some people are like, I need to know what's on the other side. Like
Yeah.
I can't die
Yeah.
right now, and I need to know what's on the other side. Like
Right.
Odin was like that. Odin's
And I
like,
think
I need to
that
know.
really humanizes him, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
such a
exactly.
human that is such a human trait. And it's weird that he's the only one that is like thinking like that, you know? And you
Yeah,
can tell it
exactly,
frustrates the shit out of him.
exactly. Um, And even throughout the game, I thought Odin was gonna have some kind of like redeemable moments where it's like
Yeah.
I really see the human in him and everything like that. Because Heimdall was like that villain character. He was that character of the game. But even for Heimdall, I feel like the fight with Heimdall was like not satisfying because it's like, yeah,
Mm-mm.
you know everything,
Mm.
so shouldn't you know that the spear explodes? Like it was just really weird. The way they
Right.
written that fight was
Well,
pretty weird.
once he figures out the trick too, you would think that it would only work once, right? Like
Exactly.
it's I think that fight is really disappointing from a gameplay angle because
Yeah.
once you like break his like ability to dodge everything, it just becomes a standard boss fight, you know, where you're just
Yep.
beating his ass, you know. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really wanted to see how Kratos was going to outsmart him, but we really didn't get that in that moment.
Right.
I think they robbed Kratos of that, which was kind of disappointing because Kratos has always been that type of person who can think on his feet when he's dealing with these gods that have certain abilities and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, yeah. So, but yeah, for Odin, like that cartoonish villain moment when he killed Thor, it was just really weird to me. It was really weird in my opinion. The
Yeah.
weirdest 180 in
Yeah.
my whole opinion was Sif. The
Yeah.
weirdest thing.
It comes out of nowhere,
She
dude. It
it she it we get no hint, in my
I
opinion,
mean,
that
okay,
she
to
hates.
be fair, there is a little bit if you go into her room or you like listen at the door because you have the ability as Atreus sometimes to like listen at the door for certain
Okay,
folks.
I don't think I listened to
Yeah,
Dora
if you do
that
that, you will
often.
hear her and Thor kind of talking about Thrud, and she's like, she doesn't say Odin's name ever, but she does kind of imply that Thor needs to stand up to him, you know.
Okay, I do
So
remember that part.
there
Yeah,
is
I
a
do remember
little
that.
bit of that, but it's just not set up enough to justify kind of what she does, in my opinion, because she hates Atreus
Yeah.
like the whole game, you know. So
And then at the end of the
yeah.
game, she's like, "Okay, like
Right. No, yeah, it's total like an about face where all of a sudden she's like really warm to Atreus suddenly, and it's just like it doesn't really make any sense. Like,
yeah.
and the idea that she'd be okay with Thor dying and the way he died it doesn't really make sense to me either. Like, she fucking loved him, you know. I don't think she would be okay with that playing out the way it did, even though it's not necessarily Kratos and Atreus's fault. Like, they are culpable to a degree, you know, like they didn't stop Odin, you know, it's like, so I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I don't know. The game is just there's just a lot of hard headedness in the game for me
Yeah.
to deal with sometime. Uh I think that I guess that's meant to challenge the player because you have all these characters saying like woe is me," and I mean they have some very drastic woes me to be honest with you. Like a lot of their families get killed and everything like that. But then you have this guy who you're saying it to. It's like you don't know what this dude's been. You don't know what this guy has been through. You're like he lost everything to the point
Yeah.
where he destroyed his own realm. He can't go back. Like
Right.
there's nothing there. So uh it was just very jarring for me. Um, I will say everyone's like super surprised. This is the one I think everybody get mad at me about. everyone was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this happened." This is major spoilers. So if you didn't know it now, turn around now. Tyr being Odin. I
Yeah.
didn't like that shit. That shit was so dumb to me.
Yeah.
I when it happened so fast. I was actually reading a text message, and then it happened, and I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?"
It kind of woke me up because I was like, that was a period of the game where I was kind of like, and it like,
Yeah.
I think it was a well executed moment. Was it earned? Yeah, I think it was because if you go back and look, like there are hints that that was like there's like a raven in Tyr's cell when you find him, and it like flies out of the cell. I think.
Oh, okay.
So there are hints that that was the case, and apparently in post game you can find the real Tyr. Actually, so they actually like do kind of close that loop. So it is kind of an earned moment, I think, but it does happen pretty abruptly, though. Um, I mean, I don't know. I liked it. I like the fact that Brock is the one that figures it out. Where
Now
he's
that
literally
I do like.
I
That
really
I do
enjoyed
like.
that he's like something doesn't fucking smell right here, and every time it's you, like you're the fucking thing that doesn't fit, you know. So I like that moment, and I like the fact that Odin just says "fuck it," shut the fuck up, and kills him, right in that moment, and then tries to steal the mask and fails. Um, so I thought that was a cool moment. I think it is the moment where shit kind of hits the fan in the game, obviously, but um, at the same time, I mean, I don't know. How did you feel about that Brock dying and kind of the whole
uh,
fallout with Sindri?
I felt like it was very realistic,
Yeah,
if that's even a term to use right here.
yeah,
Um, I was actually upset that he died.
yeah. Me too.
I feel like he was. I thought I actually the way they set the game up, I was actually subverted. To be honest with you, my expectations were severely
Yeah,
subverted. I
you
thought
didn't.
we were gonna have a quest where we had
Yeah,
to get his other part of his
yeah.
soul. I thought that was
Totally. They
coming.
set that up immediately, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And for him to just die like that was crazy.
Well, and it
And
becomes a plot thread in the opposite direction where it's super fucking depressing because he doesn't get an afterlife, because his soul wasn't whole.
exactly,
Like that is
exactly.
fucking sad, dude.
He becomes like so like the meme for I don't know if you ever heard of Bernie Sanders. You know Bernie Sanders, but like punish Bernie Sanders because of Metal Gear 5, how they get to
Yeah.
punish Snake. Well, yeah, we get punished fucking Sindri uh, in this fucking
Yeah, he becomes
this
a
game.
fucking true avenger, like
Yeah,
to the definition of the word, dude. Like, wow.
yeah.
Um,
I actually like that. I actually like that Sindri like throws everything to the wayside and is like, okay, like y'all took everything from me, but I'm gonna take everything from them. And then at the end of the game, they're like, "Ugh, what should we do with the fucking Odin?" Sindra's like, take, give me, he
just
grabs it
shows
and
up
just
and
smashes it.
breaks them. Yeah. And then he just blips out.
It just blips out,
Oh my
and
god.
everybody's like, "Well, okay, that happened." Like it was, and it was like, it was so anticlimactic. But I think that's what will happen. Like that's a real moment.
That was a
Like
very
if
real moment, yeah.
a lot of people would think like, oh, like music and all this stuff will happen, but if this was like real life and we were in a situation like that, like music doesn't play when someone dies. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a very real moment. That happened. He got it over with, and now he's done with. He's
Yep.
gone. Like
Yep.
that's it.
Yep.
And I don't know. It just felt very real for me. How he just came in and then blipped out, and we don't know what happened to him. Like he's gonna go through his motions and everything of that nature. Um, and everybody else just moved on. They understood like we can't do anything about it. And I love how the game did not harp on it. They
Yeah.
just went on with the story. Like
Yep.
I felt like other Western media would have just like even anime and stuff like that too would have just like harped on that and just let it sit there and like, well, bro, we get it. Like we get this is the consequences of his actions. And it was like, nah, we ain't doing none of that. Like this is it. I really love that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um I don't know. The game was like just really good overall. I really like Freya's story arc. I think her story arc was
Yeah.
it's not as annoying as I thought it was.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I was thinking about it. I'm like, it's not as annoying as I thought. I thought her story arc was really, really well done. Even if she was being annoying towards Kratos about
Mm.
killing Odin and everything, he does it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's
She
like,
was getting kind of annoying though after they joined forces. Like
yeah,
she's like, "Well, as long as you're gonna still fucking kill Heimdall, I'm cool." It's like, God damn, lady, you are bloodthirsty as hell. But
yeah,
talking about all these moments though, is really making me think about how fractured the game is though, because like the thing with Sindri happens very shortly after Thor getting killed, where you have the cartoony villain moment, and then you have this powerful, like very realistic feeling moment with Sindri, like breaking the marble with Odin's soul in it. And
yeah,
then everything else that happens after that is like really well done too. The little epilogue that happens where you're like walking
yeah,
through the cave and talking to everybody. And then you see the mural at the end with, Kratos being worshipped and all that stuff. It's like really well done. It's just like interspersed with like bad sections though. It's like it's weird. This like the quality of this game is like all over the place at times. It's like frustrating because you were talking about Freya, right? That
hmm,
section in Vanaheim, I think is largely really good. Like I really enjoy the back and forth that her and Kratos have. They get Mimir out of the way so he's not like being annoying. So the two of them can kind of just talk, and she can learn more about him and really understand where he was coming from when he killed Balder. It was like there's like that's a really cool section of the game to me, and it's really like a really powerful. It's really powerful when you beat Needhog and she breaks all the branches, and then the two of them look at each other, and it's like, are we gonna throw down right now, or are we good? And they kind of have a little bit of a chat. Freya has her moment where she like almost breaks down in tears, and it's like really fucking well delivered, right? Like, and it's an excellent moment in the game. You have that, but then you have like the Ironwood section early in the game where Atreus gets ripped into Jotunheim, and he's running around with Angerboda for like 4 hours, fucking picking fruit, and you have all this unnecessary combat in it because that section of the game I think is like largely the one I've heard the most that people say they hate the most, like it's the worst section of the game. But it's not because, to me, it's not because of the story threads or any of the dialogue or the characters or anything happening. It's because there's so much combat in that section that doesn't need to be there, dude. Like, there's just padding. It's like insane. They turn a 1 hour story section into a fucking 3 or 4 hour section of the game. And it's like super irritating because you think it's almost over, right? When she like, you get the marble. She gives you the bag of marbles, and she gives Atreus the bag of marbles and talks through that they're his responsibility, blah, 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 and you're fucking coming back. And then they send you into this underground like hive where you have to like clear out. It's basically a fucking side quest. And this is where the game makes is really weird to me because there's moments in the story where the game doesn't shut up, right? Where like Atreus is by himself and he's talking to
yeah,
himself and shit. But then there's sections of the game like early on in the wetlands in Svartalfheim, and then this section I'm talking about with Angerboda, where like nobody says anything. There's no dialogue at all. It's like really jarring, you know? It's like these are either unfinished sections of the game or they were just thrown together really quickly to like add time to the game because they're not good, right? Like those moments to me weren't good. This is where the quality is like dipping and rising, It's like it's just peaks and valleys,
yeah,
and so that section with Angerboda, like, dude, you take that hive section out, you take out all the unnecessary combat. Like, dude, that whole part to me, frankly, I would have preferred it if there was no combat at all, except for the boss fight with what was her name, Angerboda's aunt, the giant. Um, like I literally would have been I would have preferred that there was just no combat up to that moment and you just have a boss fight and that's that section of the game. I think it would have been way more powerful because it's like really important. It's a really important section for Atreus. He meets somebody his own age who's also a giant and understands everything about him. She knows him, knows his destiny and all this stuff and very familiar with him and they're pretty friendly with each other and it's it's like a fun section of the game, but to me, it's just so marred by all that combat. And that early section in the wetlands I brought up when we first started talking about this game is how awkward that section is because no one says anything. Mimir's not talking. Kratos literally doesn't talk for like 30 or 45 minutes at the beginning of Svartalfheim. It's fucking weird as shit, dude. It's like they had lines that they just didn't record or something. Like I don't know. Because yeah, he just doesn't say anything. It's like really strange overall. So I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that? Am I off a little bit on some of this stuff, or do you agree? Are there just like sections of this game that feel really unnecessary?
Yeah, I agree that section of the game felt really unnecessary. Um, I don't know. For me though, I feel like everybody was talking constantly, nonstop.
Yeah,
It was rarely an instance where they weren't talking. To be honest with you,
yeah,
at least in my playthrough.
yeah,
Yeah, the anger Boda section though. That section I do remember. I actually blocked that section out of my head, and I stopped playing the game for like a couple of days because I
yeah,
got to that section
yeah.
because it was just so fucking slow. I was actually just ready to move on.
Well, that's why
It
I'm
felt like
saying
a
take the combat out, and it's an hour. You know?
yeah. I really don't like the whole oh we're gonna sit on this animal and it was just an unnecessary like fetch quest that was on rails. It was like the two worst quests ever. It was an on rails quest and it was a fetch quest.
Yeah,
So it was just like I was just like, bro, like, can
yeah,
we
dude.
just move on? Like, we get it, bro. We get it. Um, I don't know. Even the section with her grandmother, I like the fight.
Yeah,
I like that, we saw another giant. I just feel like it was unnecessary. I feel like it should have been a side quest. I
yeah.
don't think we should have. I don't know. It was just very
Well,
weird.
they're playing with things too in that section because you know the snake that he puts the soul into.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's
Yep.
Jormungandr, you know.
Yep.
And it's like
Uh,
they do that there, and then with Fenrir, when he puts Fenrir's soul into Garm, that's like because in Norse lore, Loki is the father, quote unquote, of Fenrir and Jormungandr, you know.
mhm.
So that's like their origin story within this universe, basically, those two.
Okay.
Um, and like it's like clever, but it's like they made a whole section of the game just to show you the origin of Jormungandr, though, because that's like I agree with you with the giant part where you're fighting her, whatever, Negroa, I think was her name.
Yeah,
Where
I
you're
just
fight,
I just I just say Angry Gable's grandma. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
was her
Angry Broda's grandma. Where you're fighting her, that whole section too feels like a whole side piece just to show you Loki creating Jormungandr. Like that
yeah.
is, and it's like when you put it in that context, it's like, come on, like man, I don't. Why do you feel the need to do all this? You know, it's like it's clever. I get it. It's cute. Like, but how necessary is it really? You know, to the game? Like, would the game be lesser if you took all that out? I don't really think so. There are some powerful lines of dialogue that the grandmother, you know, kind of spouts at
Yeah.
Atreus and Angerboda in that boss fight, but um, you know, they don't go too deep on it though. It's kind of surface level and then they just don't talk about it after that, you know. So yeah, that section's weird. Trying to think of other spots. The Alfheim area, like going back to the Temple of Light, I thought was not great either.
Yeah, the whole I'm really disappointed how they did the elves.
Yeah.
Um what's Freyr's brother? Is it Freyr?
Freyr, yeah.
Freyr. Yeah, Freyr. So Freyr, um, yeah, he just goes back. So it's two sections, right? I hate fighting the elves. Like
They are annoying.
even God of War makes this game makes a joke out of it because they hate it too. They're like, I fucking hate coming here. Like this is the worst place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still objectively the worst fucking place. Like I fucking hated fighting those
Pointing it
elves
out
every
doesn't make
time.
it any better.
Yeah, like every time I fought those fuckers, like I was just like, bro, I can y'all die. Like, and I would
Well,
literally
those
go out my way to
fights early in the game are obnoxious because you're not powerful at that point, you know?
yeah.
So you
I
don't
feel
have a
like
lot of
even when you are
tools.
powerful, man, like
Dude,
they just so obnoxious.
it's literally all just you need to time blocks. Like that's the
Yeah.
whole part of that fucking part of the game. It's like fucking irritating as all hell to me.
Well, and then they were trying to do that gimmick with the axe and throwing it off the mirror piece and all that shit, and
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
like
like,
trying, they
bro,
had like mini stealth things where enemies don't see you yet, and you can bounce the
yeah,
axe off of a fucking mirror, and
yeah. It was just it was they were playing with things. And I didn't like it, so hopefully that's proof enough that don't do that shit anymore. But yeah, like it was just really weird. Um, but I don't know. Freyr just come in and then like these elves have this war, and then like he just comes in like, "Hey guys, drinks on me," and then everyone's all right. We're gonna go fight with you. It's like it's like,
yeah,
bro, what?
it is really weird. They do just hand wave that whole thing. Like he literally comes shows up and he's like, "Yep, man, the elves love me, bro." It's like what the fuck? Like it's
Yeah,
just so
like
hand waved, just to justify them like showing up.
yeah,
So
like in the way they set the elves and the dark elves and the light elves up is like, these guys have been fighting for centuries, uh, and everything like that. And he just comes in and is like, yeah, I just have a couple drinks with my buds on both sides. We, hammer out over some drinks, bro, and we're like good. We're good, bro.
yeah, I
Um,
think they kind of undermine the good storytelling they did in that realm with
yeah,
that, to be honest, because the setup they did between both games, I think, is really excellent. Especially the first game because like the dark elves, you just assume they're the bad guys, right? But but I love the idea that you go back there and realize that you just changed one oppressor out for another.
yeah,
And that's such a fucking awesome thing. And that Atreus is like, oh damn, it's like maybe we didn't do the right thing. And Kratos's point the whole time is like, we shouldn't have gotten involved at all. It doesn't matter what we did, we wouldn't have made the right choice. Like
yeah,
it's not our place. This isn't our fight. That was his whole point the whole time. And that plays out in your two trips to Alfheim in both games. So I I enjoyed that. I'm trying to think of other moments. The moment when after you beat Garm and he turns into Fenrir, I thought that little sit down talk that Atreus and Kratos have before they go back to Sindri's house was like really fucking. That was like probably my favorite part of the game. To be
yeah,
honest, when the both of them just kind of apologized to each other, and I thought it was a really like heartfelt, well done moment in the game. That was probably one of my favorite sections of dialogue for sure. What about you? Any
yeah.
particular story moments that you really liked?
I, I really hard because it's like I played it like a couple weeks ago,
I
but
know. I'm trying to remember them all. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like overall how I guess it was like a commentary on parenting in general. Um, how your kids are humans too. Like
Yeah.
we've been raised to be like, listen to your parents and that's it. And parents are raised to like, almost thinking your children as like your subjects or whatever, or maybe your soldiers or maybe your little soldiers or whatever the case may be, right? And even Kratos himself had to like bring him down a notch, a couple notches, and check himself and be like,
Yeah.
listen, I'm sorry for doing this to you and all
Well.
this other stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
even Atreus' side of things, like it's not all that too. Like he still is your parent. You still need to listen to him. You still need to
Right.
have some kind of trust with them because
Yeah.
there's so many sections of the game where Atreus could just be like, Dad, this is what's going on. And I relate to this where I can be like, I've done something where I really fucked up. And my dad was like, you fucked up. I'm gonna help you though. I'm gonna help you through this. But next time, just tell me like what's
Yeah,
going
I
on.
love that when he comes back from Asgard and
Yeah.
is like, dude, I need help. I fucked up. I need help. And Kratos is literally doesn't say shit. He's just like, okay, let's
He
go.
just help. He just let's
He's just
go.
like
Yeah. And
literally
like
like, let's go. Let's
and
fix
that's
this.
what my
Yeah.
dad did in a situation for me like that. He was just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people will have that powerful moment, but that was like a super powerful moment for me.
Yeah.
Like I was just like,
No, I think
yo,
that section's
whoever,
really strong. I think that's
yeah,
yeah.
like whoever wrote the story, I was like, wow, they fucking get it. Like they
They
get it.
must have had a similar experience,
Yeah.
honestly, dude. Like whoever was writing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like it is just so many little moments like that. But that moment for me, that was the moment where he came back. And he was just like, "Dad, I really fucked up." And Kratos was just like, "All right, well, let's do it. Let's try to fix it. See what we can do. If we can't fix it, we'll figure out another way."
Well, I
And
love how they juxtapose that with all the other characters freaking out and screaming at
ex-
Atreus, like, "You did
exactly.
what? You can't! I can't! You fucking did what?" Like, and Kratos just looks at him and is like, "You want to fix this?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "All right, let's go." You know, um, just the calmness with which he does that. Because even like Mimir, who fucking loves Atreus, right? Is like screaming at him. Is like, "I can't believe you did that."
Yeah, he's like, "That
So
was a monumental fuck up,
yeah. Oh,
lad." And
yeah,
I'm
right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, just for him to, and you would expect Kratos to be that one, but then I understood it too, where I was just like, yeah, they get it. They understood like when it comes, like if your parents or whatever. I know everybody doesn't have this kind of experience, but like, yeah, like your parents could be the most hard ass, especially your dad can be the most hard ass person. But then you come at them like man to man and be like, "Dad, look, I fucked up and I need to make this right. What do I need to do to make this right? I know I fucked up. I already know this is going to be the consequence, but what can I do to make this right?" And they'll be like, "All right, let's do it. Let's go." And I've had situations like that where my parents, my mom is screaming at me, my grandma's like, "You did what? Oh my fucking god!" Blah, blah, blah. And my
Yeah.
dad's just standing there. He's like,
Yeah.
"All
Yeah.
right, you ready though? You ready to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." He's like, "All right, let's go and let's do it." So I understood it. Like that
Mhm.
was very powerful. That was my powerful moment. I was just like, I almost cried on that part where he
Yeah.
where he was just like, "Let's go." I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I legitimately almost cried on that part. That was my favorite part. Like out of all the speeches and
Yeah.
all the heartfelt moments they had, that part was just like that was like a real "I love you and I will be here for you no matter what." He didn't have to
Mhm.
say it. He just showed it. Like I will be here for you no matter what. It was crazy.
Yeah, my moment, yeah, that moment for me was the end of that section when they sit down and he's apologizing and he's like,
Yeah.
like, "I have been a bad father. I've, you know, I've been falling back into my old ways. Like, like and then and I love this was cheesy, but I love that he says I'm sorry, and Atreus spits back the line from the first game where he's like, "Father, don't be sorry, be better," and then Kratos like smirks at him. I love that. I thought that was awesome.
No, it was awesome. It was
And
pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty earned. So I mean I think that to get back to what you were talking about too, like what the game's about, and I think you know I I think that transition from a parent being an authority figure who makes all the decisions to allowing their child to start making decisions. That's kind of what this game is. It's that
Hmm.
transition for Kratos over the course of the game, where early in the game, he's trying to let Atreus kind of run the show, but eventually gets frustrated and kind of takes command himself, at certain points in the game. And then eventually kind of accepts that Atreus has the ability to make his own decisions, and sometimes he's going to fuck up and sometimes he's going to make the right choice, but he lets it happen and kind of goes on the path on the journey with his son ultimately. And I think that is really powerful as well. And I think the more obvious like theme or message though is when you're kind of walking down a path, you feel like you're set on that path. There's no like forks or branches you can go down. It's not true. Like
Hmm.
you can at any moment stop and say, I'm gonna do better, or I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna do this to change my status quo, and I think that like plays out very obviously in your face at the end of the game, right?
Yeah,
But
but I like how the game makes it where yes, you can stop and change. Um, but it's not as easy as saying it, right? It's going to be
yeah,
very hard.
right.
It varies in the situation, yes, because you can change, and if you have the money or the time or effort or whatever, you can do it in the drop of a dime. But sometimes it's not going to be as simple as yes, I'm going to change. It's going to be building blocks to do that change. You can make the conscious effort to do it, but it's a process to get to it. and I felt like both of them had to learn the process of trusting each other and everything like that. And I don't know, the game was just, as far as that overall narrative and the writing of that between Atreus and Kratos, it was uh very structured, and I love it. I
Mm.
even love at the end where Atreus goes off on his own,
Yep.
and that's it. Like he's just off on his own
Well,
now.
that is a great transition point as we hit 2 hours recording. Um, where so I guess my questions for you here are twofold, and I'll answer these as well. But what do you think the future of this franchise is? Number one, and number two, do you think Santa Monica is going to make that game next or do something else?
That's a good question. I think they already confirmed that there's no DLC planned for the game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Um, I think they may do a Miles Morales situation
Mm.
where it's God of War Atreus
Mm.
and then
Hmm.
the original God of War. Because like we're getting another Spider-Man too, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna do that to where the next game is gonna be Atreus, and it's probably gonna be like $50 or whatever, but it's
It'll be a
Atreus's adventures.
smaller scope.
Exactly. And I would actually like to see that because I think Atreus has some very good unique move sets and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
Um And then I'll like to see the next game, God of War 3, they come back together and now Atreus is probably like 17, 18, and Kratos is doing his thing or whatever, and they come back and they have two totally unique fighting styles and everything of that nature, and two walks of life and everything. Um, so it'll be interesting to see because I don't, yeah, to be honest with you, who's going to be the villain in the next? Oh, we already know who's going to be a villain. I'm sorry, yeah, we know who's going to be a villain in the next game.
We do?
Odin's, yeah, the Valkyrie Queen lady, right?
Uh,
Now that she dies
well,
in after
yeah,
in the
she
late
might be an
game.
epilogue quest. I don't know.
Okay,
That's part of what I don't know. Like she may be resolved within this game. So,
yeah.
but
Um,
do you think? I
I
mean, what do you think though? I mean, this is supposed to be the end of the North Saga. Like, do you think they're going to a different realm, like Egypt or something?
Yeah, I mean they did hint that, but they didn't. I didn't get anything from this game that they're going to another realm. To be honest with you, I know in the last game they touched on it how there are other realms they can visit. Um, but yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what.
but Atreus is going on a journey to find the giants, and what he said was is that they are scattered in other far off lands. So
Oh,
it kind
okay,
of makes it sound like he's definitely going to other like pantheons, probably to find the
yeah.
giants. So
So yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, if he goes to like Northern Africa or maybe over there on the Eastern Front, and everything like that. So
or like
yeah.
India, like the Indian
Oh man,
pantheon would be awesome.
they're
That would be really
fucking
cool.
yeah, their lore and their god and pantheons and stuff like that. It's so cool. I actually dibble and dabbled in that when I
Hmm.
was playing Asura's Wrath, and like
Yeah,
yeah, that there it's almost like sci-fi. So that would be really cool if they go over to India and Indian lore and stuff like that. So
or like Native American
oh
lore
yeah,
would
they
be
can
really
go
cool
Native
too.
American. Yeah,
You know, like as the Aztec gods and stuff like that. That would be really interesting. Obviously, Egypt is obvious, I think, but
yeah.
it would be funny to go to Rome because it's the same pantheon as Greece, but different names. So they could
I
like
thought he
almost
fought. Did he fight the Roman gods or no?
no. I mean, they're the same. They're supposed like in theory they're the same gods. They just have different
Yeah.
names in Rome, but they could play around with that idea and like make it a different pantheon. You know.
Or they
Um,
somehow like revive or whatever the case may be, and they're like, "You're whose son?"
Yeah. Yeah, I do wanna dude, that is one thing I was a little disappointed with, is how much they were talking about his journeys in Greece, that there was no more, like, kinda reference to that beyond like, you know how Athena shows up in the first game briefly?
Yeah,
As like a vision almost, or like a ghost or something attached to Kratos that he kind of like shakes off and lets go. Like I kind of would have wished to have seen that again, though, but I guess that defeats the purpose of his whole journey, right? Like it's
yeah.
him coming full circle and like getting away from all of that. So I just
Well,
yeah.
I know this would be like blasphemous, I guess. And this would never fly, but I would actually like to see. like so you went if you go by the game, right?
Yeah.
The fall of Greece happens, right? Because of Kratos. But then he goes over to the Norse mythology, which is actually funny because the Nords actually, I think, people from the north of the Germanic tribes rather, they actually destroyed Greece, right? So it would
Mm.
be funny to see that transition into like maybe he goes into the Christianity side, like he goes into deep Europe, and like we start seeing that aspect of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that would be weird as fuck.
It
Dude, Jesus
yeah,
is
we
like, hey,
started seeing like the biblically accurate angels that we had to
dude, he
fight and
fight the
everything.
final boss is Jesus. Oh man, that would be hilarious. That would be amazing. Oh
Yeah, so that would be really cool if they did. I don't, they're not going to do that, but that would be really
my god. I
cool if
don't
they
know,
did do
man.
that.
Give it another 50 years when they run out of ideas. I could see it.
Yeah, I mean that'd be really cool. If they just fought like they don't even have to dibble and dab, like they don't have to fight Jesus or anything, but they can fight biblically accurate angels and everything like that. How cause if you watch those, if you see those drawings of how angels are actually supposed to look, they look fucking terrifying. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, like I guess Egyptian mythology would be really cool to go into next. I think the Egyptian thing has been done like so much.
Well,
Uh,
and this isn't like a super known thing, but there is a comic that takes place between God of War 3 and God of War 2018, and he actually goes to Egypt. Kratos does.
oh, really? Okay.
Briefly in that comic. Yeah, he's like wandering aimlessly. He doesn't know what to do with himself after killing everybody. um, so and then he finds his way to Midgard eventually. But so he has technically been there within the canon of the series, but he doesn't have to go though. I mean, the idea. I mean, to your point, right? The next game is probably Atreus on his own, isn't it? Like it kind of
Hmm.
has to be, doesn't it? Like
Yeah, I'm actually more interested in like the giants and everything like that, and uh, they can stay in this world, but they can go into other worlds. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like the land is so vast that they can just go
yeah,
anywhere they want to now.
yeah. Yeah, but like at the end of the game, like Kratos' story is kind of wrapped up, dude. Like he's, like his end point is that he has redeemed himself and is worthy of worship as a god of peace, basically. So
Yeah, and that's why I'm glad they didn't call it God of War 2. They called it God of War Ragnarok because
yeah,
I think the next game could be God of War Atreus because
yeah,
technically he's the son of the God of War. So you
yeah.
know,
I like your idea about that though. That it's almost like a Miles Morales style kind of tighter scope, or tighter game potentially. I could totally see that it comes out in like 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
That would be really cool. And then Atreus grows up a little bit, and they kind of expand his tool set. That would be a lot of fun. I think would be kind of pretty fun to experience. So yeah, that's an exciting thought. In terms of like what I want though, I kind of want them to put God of War on ice for a while, and work on
yes,
work on
I
something
agree, but
else.
they're not. They're not.
Yeah, I know.
They
Well,
already
dude,
got God of War TV series coming out.
we know they're working on another game because Corey Barlog is not the director of this game, and or was not the director of this game, and he's working on something. So they do have another game in development. We don't know what it is yet, but um, it'd be exciting to find out what that is. I will say the director of this game though did say that he would be okay with them becoming the God of War studio. So that is, it's just something I don't really want to see at this point, though. It's like, come on, man, let your studios breathe a little bit because you got Gorilla just buried in Horizon, fucking Naughty Dog buried in The Last of Us. You got, uh, you know, um, Insomniac kind of buried in Marvel now. This studio potentially buried in God of War. You've got Sucker Punch kind of in the Ghost of Tsushima land. It's like, let these guys like spread their wings a little bit and kind of do some original IPs. Like you wouldn't have a lot of the shit that you have now without letting your studios do that like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
you wouldn't have The Last of Us. You wouldn't have Ghost of Tsushima, it's like, so it'd be disappointing to see Sony just continue to ask for more sequels from these teams, personally, but
yeah. I think they're probably just gonna split the teams up like they did before,
mhm.
uh, and let one team continue to work on it, and then other team with Corey and more experienced people make up something new. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think they have a deal with like Amazon, I think, for a God of War TV series, which I am not looking
Well,
forward to.
it's also
Uh
supposed to be following the first game, the 20 from the reboot, like the rebooted 2018 game, the story of
yeah,
that, which makes no fucking sense at
I
all.
wanted them to do Greece. I think they should have done Greece.
They should have absolutely done Greece because anybody coming into this is gonna now need to know the backstory of what happened in Greece. Like, how are they gonna get that across to people? You know, like
Yeah,
as
exactly.
flashbacks or something. It's gonna be terrible. Like, they should have redone
Yeah,
Greece
they
because these games are already cinematic, all right? Like, they don't need that treatment in that way. Like, I feel like the Greek games, you can go back and kind of reset what they were from
yeah,
a narrative standpoint, you know?
yep.
So that would have been way
I think
more
the Greece I think
amazing.
the first God of War series would be perfect
Yeah.
uh to do that.
Right.
And kind of do a remake of it. Like you're kind of remaking what's already been told. You have a slate, you have a clean like storyboard to work off of. You can adjust some things here and there, but uh yeah, hopefully like someone talks to them and it's like, hey, yo, let's just do like what makes Kratos Kratos. Why is he like this? But I don't know. We'll see.
Um, outside of that, we didn't talk about voice performances or anything like that. Any performances that stuck out to you? You want to talk about?
Uh, to be honest with you, man, I really liked Odin's performance.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, he's like an actor, like a live action actor. He played a character in West Wing, I think. That guy.
oh
So
really?
yeah.
yeah.
Um, he's been in a
I
lot of
really
stuff.
liked Odin. He really sold me on Odin. Uh, just phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I can't remember his name. The guy who did Kratos. I can't remember his fucking name for the
Christopher
life of
Judge.
me. Yeah, Christopher Judge. Obviously, he did a phenomenal job. Atreus did a
Do you think he
phenomenal job.
deserved the Game Awards award though as like best performance?
No, I think that should have went to fucking
Odin.
Odin. Yeah,
Okay.
Odin was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Odin really subverted my expectations of what Odin was meant to be. And but simultaneously had a demeaning or not demeaning, but like a menacing aura about him. Especially like from the first time you meet him, like you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be a fucking asshole. And then when you meet him later, you're like, oh, he's not that bad. And it's like, oh, he's a fucking asshole. He put me through so much emotions that I was just like, yeah, this guy, they get it. Like
Hmm.
they did a good job writing him. I actually think Thor was a really good job as well.
Yes.
Maybe it's because he was written well. Like people can say like his voice acting wasn't phenomenal, but I don't know. I just think he really captured like how depressed Thor would actually be in his voice, the way his voice sounded. He sounded like his name John Goodman. That's what he sound. That's what he reminded me of. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, like I don't know. I really like Thor's uh voice acting and everything like that. Um, but yeah, for me, it was Odin through and through.
Okay. Yeah, I honestly I give a shout out to most of the cast. I think that overall, like almost everybody did excellent.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's why it's hard for me. Like it
yeah,
was really hard for me
I do
because
really want to shout out
everybody.
Atreus though, the kid that plays Atreus. Like, dude, to to go from the performance as a kid, you know, when he was actually like a child in 2018 game to this, that's not an easy thing to do, and to do a good job, I think in both games the way he did. Um,
Yeah,
like this kid's got a really bright future, honestly.
no,
In my
for real.
opinion.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, Freya was excellent. Kratos, excellent. Like you said, Thor, Odin, awesome. Even some of the lesser performances like Thrud and you know, as much as I hated Heimdall, the performance was awesome. Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
was really a well done performance. You know, like he fucking like knocked that out of the park. I love when like Atreus first meets that dude and he's just so fucking annoying. He's such an asshole. And then he like lets Atreus try to fight him and just like clowns him. You know, it's like it is a funny moment in the game. But yeah, I think overall the voice cast was great, performances were great. I will say this game winning best soundtrack is a joke. So
yes,
let's clean that up, Game Awards, because that's just silly. I,
I will say there should be a award for voice direction or something like that because the director
yeah.
did a phenomenal job directing these people.
Hmm.
Like a lot of people don't get good credit for that, and I just want to give the director like credit for that because, of course, these performances are really good, but they would be nothing without the director
Hmm.
directing the action on set.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Anything else you want to talk about? We didn't really talk about combat. Anything you want to add there?
Uh, no, I think I talked about combat enough.
Yeah, we did outside of this spoiler talk. So
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I really wanted to be a little bit more, but it picked up a lot towards the end and everything of that nature. So I was pretty satisfied.
yeah, same, same. But it's a great game. Definitely recommend it, especially if you play 2018. You absolutely have to play this. This is kind of a must play if you've played that. But yeah, it's a good game, and looking forward to whatever Santa Monica does next. I think they're one of Sony's best teams at this point. So, all right, Montrell. Well, I guess let's get out of here. So everybody, if you like this episode, please like the episode, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you are listening to it on, and please share with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to playerstake01@gmail.com. And next week, Montreal, we actually haven't discussed this, but I think next week we're either going to be doing Game of the Year or a preview of next year, whichever one you want to do. So we'll figure that out in the interim between weeks, and we'll have one of those for you next week. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye.